got that one on Felicity Street, and I keep, they say, oh, you need that fixed. I'm like, it's a speed bump.
No, then that's the case. Next meeting, we put a
Slows
resolution.
it down better than the speed.
It does.
We're out.
Welcome, everyone. We're gonna go ahead and call to order the February 20th, 2024 City Council meeting to order. If everybody would stand, Ms. Reed leads in prayer and then the pledge.
Let's pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Now, Father, we just want to thank you as we stand in your presence today, because we realize your presence fills all the earth. We once again just request for your wisdom and knowledge and understanding, Father, upon this council and upon, Father, this administration, that we will continue to lead your citizens and the city in the right direction. So, Father, put your hand upon us, grace us with that kind of ability and that kind of mercy. We ask in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, if we just have a moment of silence in memory of the late Mayor Eddie Favre. Thank you. Any agenda amendments needed for administration?
No, just, Dr. Ladner won't
Okay.
be here. We've talked to him
Okay.
and all, and got information that's needed
So-
to him.
So what was discussed and what's the outcome of the signage? What was discussed and what's the outcome?
We're
of
gonna
the
get some
signage?
signage made and all, and we'll look at, see about getting that light replaced as well.
Are we looking,
Right.
what specific signs are we looking at?
What?
There's a few different signs, so what was?
Yeah, we're
what
gonna
was
put one
discussed?
further down, a little bigger, towards the casino with the, school coming up, school zone coming up. Same thing further down in front of the shopping center, school zone. We have school zone signs there. Probably redo them to where they're a little bigger, maybe should stick out a little more on there.
You may wanna look at
And then-
some, I think West Harrison has it
Yeah.
pretty good
Half
ones.
has it.
Yeah, where it's blinking when it's the school zone, the school times, so
Yeah.
wanna look at those, cause right now,
That's the
as I
light
spoke
we're
with Dr.
looking at.
Ladner about it, we discussed the concerns, just not having a visibility, and then with that, having a lot of traffic, a lot of out-of-towners.
Yeah.
Going down Blue Meadow, the casino, so just,
All right, thank you. Any amendments by the council? Okay. First item, plan and zoning. Item A, motion to follow plan and zoning's recommendation and approve the application for special exception to allow an accessory dwelling submitted by Harold McDonald located at 105 Citizen Street. Approved 5-0. Is anybody here representing this application? Okay. Anybody here opposed to it? What's the pleasure of the council?
I noticed that the city recommended denial on this. What's the city's position?
Just didn't know about the two houses and all being on one parcel of property. It's gotta be approved by the council to have a second dwelling on there. And which one's gonna be the main dwelling, which one's gonna be the secondary dwelling. Cause I think the secondary can only be half of what the original
50%
main
size.
dwelling is.
Mhm.
So that was just questions,
Were they answered?
I think they was answered in P and Z.
I didn't make P and Z, I'm sorry. I was out of
I didn't make it either.
Yeah, that was the questions. I mean, there are, R4 does allow secondary dwellings on 15,000 square foot properties. This is an R1 property. Understand, McDonald's had built their secondary house, accessory structure basically, in the back portion of the property with intent to build the main house up front. And the 50% rule is, as far as lot coverage and house size are two different things that was addressed at P and Z.
Any further discussion? What's the pleasure of the council?
Follow recommendation, plan and zone.
Motion, Mr. Seal, follow P and Z's recommendation and approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Reed.
And well, I'm looking at, they say the square footage on this is 19,000.
The lot.
Yeah, the lot,
Yeah.
854 square feet, so,
Fifteen
so
thousand
it's gotta be
per,
15.
but per R four,
Okay,
right? So
Mhm.
this is exception because it's, if it had been R four, it'd been by right. But
Right.
since it's an R one,
Yeah.
that'd be a special exception.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Vote to motion.
aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye. Passes 4-2.
And I would like to get a follow-up on this because the question that the mayor had was not answered.
I'm sorry.
The
mayor.
question that the mayor had about which is gonna be the primary dwelling was not
He's
answered.
here, we can ask.
Yes, sir. Will you step up, please? Mr. McDonald?
Yes, sir.
Is it my understanding that y'all kind of flip-flopping, the primary is gonna be the new construction and the secondary would be the existing?
Exactly. The existing one will become the secondary.
That's what I understood it to be. Okay.
And it won't be no more than, it'd be less than 50% of the primary.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
new one's
It's
gonna
a-
be like 22, and the little one's about,
1,000.
gosh, 840.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's 1,000.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Any more questions? All right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Okay. On B, there's a little typo. The 12-foot should actually be 8 foot. So if we can fix that. It was supposed to go 2 foot from 10 to 8, but on the agenda, it's showing it went to 12, which is incorrect. So it's actually an 8-foot rear yard. So
Setback.
setback. Motion to follow P and Z's
Motion.
recommendation and approve application for a a 5-foot front yard and 8-foot rear yard variance submitted by Work Construction LLC located at 211 Charter Street.
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Seal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Reed.
Yeah,
Is there
Discussion.
discussion? Anyone here?
Discussion.
Okay.
Again, once again, the administration's recommending denial on this and have specific reasons. And,
I think we recommend a denial on the front setback
Right.
variance, not the back,
Because of parking concerns,
you know, yeah.
but it's gonna be an
They,
elevated
they,
house.
they not, the lots are not very deep
Yeah, the
in that
76.
whole area.
Yeah.
And, you know, was wanting to try to make the house fit more to the lot. The backyard didn't bother us as much as the front yard setback being right there on the street, and that was the only reason we had for that.
I think it's parking concerns.
Yeah.
The setback.
You know, when you 5 feet
so what did they decide on the parking concerns?
It's an elevated property.
elevated,
under
you
the
park
house.
underneath.
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
So is
that's,
this information not gathered before a recommendation is made by administration in a public forum?
That didn't change our mind.
But it seems like on both of these that, I mean, was that not discussed in the application process or clarified? So it's just going into it, you're making a recommendation?
When I can't, yeah, well, I mean, I made the recommendation on what the information I had, you know, ahead of time.
And that's, yeah, this is on this one here.
But there's lots
You know,
on.
We
the
make
opposite.
recommendations all the time, and I mean, you know,
But there's not dialogue before, when this application, when applicant comes in, there's not the questions before, it's just made to deny or to approve. It's just you find out at the meeting and then
they decide.
change course.
Yeah, it's just our recommendation.
But Mayor, I think the answer to his question is no, most of the time you have information. Obviously, there's not, sometimes things come out at planning and zoning that have not come out
That was my
with the homeowner. Sometimes homeowners discuss things in detail. Sometimes a homeowner just gives an application. So, I mean, that's kind of driven by the homeowner as to how much information that they give the administration. I don't think the administration gives a interview to everybody who, you know, submits an application, but some people come down and sit and want detailed walkthroughs. Other people just comes in and hands in their paperwork and says, here you go. I can't speak to either one of these as to what they did, but.
Yeah, that better clarifies.
And also that, you know, the administration makes a recommendation, that's not necessarily what planning and zoning, you know, they either follow it or they don't, and then planning and zoning makes their own recommendation to you guys that could very well be different than what the administration recommended.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
just seems redundant then if there's a recommendation being made without having all the details until the meeting. So what is the point of the recommendation prior to the meeting?
That's just our thoughts on it going into it.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've been making them and all, and this first, really time it's ever been discussed.
And this variance was requested for 10 foot in the rear yard, and they moved it back to 8 foot
8
instead of
foot.
the 10 foot,
Yeah.
so they did shorten that one
Yes,
some.
the planning and zoning reduced.
Reduced
what
the
was-
setback, correct.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Vote the motion? Nope, I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm sorry. Was anybody here opposed to this application? Thank
Already
you,
got a
sir.
motion voted, and
Yeah, thank you, sir. All right, vote the motion, please.
Aye.
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 Nay.
nay.
Aye. Motion passes 4-2. Thank y'all. Next up, mayor's report, discussion fire department AC repairs.
You know, this is, in the new fire department on Main Street, you know, I think last year we spent about $40,000-$50,000 on that air conditioner, trying to get all everything working that could be working, you know, didn't know as far as the underground system, you know, if it was faulted or not when it was installed or whatever. Anyway, the ground loop is not cooling our water like it should. Last year we stayed in the 80 degrees, even upper 80s in the fire department. If you see our water bill right now for the last 5 or 6 months over there, we've been running water in this system trying to cool it down, which is not working it well. But if not, we will burn up a bunch of the I guess the pumps and all. So we have to keep this water on. But if you look at our water bill for that fire department is about $2,500, and that's because of the continuous water and everything we're using, and it is being discharged into the sewer, so we do have to pay sewer on that as well. But anyway, we have been out and have engineers coming in to look at this. We're waiting on a report to finalize where we could go out for bids, but when it, yeah, it's out now. But one of the things is, we're looking at probably maybe for a cooling tower. We're looking at a couple scenarios to do away with the underground system and putting a cooler tower in on the ground instead on top of the building, because one, I think it'd be cheaper, and then this guy talks about can hook it up right there, you know, straight in and everything. But anyway, we're looking at possibility of maybe $300,000 to replace this system. In the meantime, we've also, you know, thought about what is the cost to come in and can it be done with this type of system we already have, and just going in with, like we did the police department, with just, you know, home units and all. That way, you know, you got a problem, you come in. But with the ductwork and all in this, I'm not sure if that can be done. So they're looking at that as well.
Well, I'd like to see the engineering report before we go out, put this out for bid, because without that report, then how do we know what we're bidding on?
It's already out for bid.
Mike Rizzo just said it's out for
You
bid
guys
right
It's
are
now.
out.
Y'all have ever approved advertising for bid
Yeah.
to put another chiller on the ground. Now, in talking to them, it's got a cost estimate, and that cost estimate was significant, higher than we were thinking.
What was
going
that
in.
cost?
Over 300,000.
Over 300,000.
Now, he's thinking it's gonna be.
So what are you bidding
280,
now?
What's that?
What are you putting out for bid?
A new chiller on the ground, but I think it's stainless steel.
So you're
Stainless
saying
steel.
that the new chiller would be 300,000?
And we haven't
That's the
got,
whole point, is just say, hey, guys, this thing's
This-
higher than we
yeah.
expected.
Yeah.
and we haven't gotten the data back on the conversion of doing a similar unit setup like the police department, what's customary in most of the buildings, because, I mean, I guess with the water cooler being on the ground as well, I mean, insurance-wise on it, I mean, if we have another, God forbid, another storm, how's that affected with that being on the ground? I mean, there's some different.
Well, it would be
scenarios
built on a platform like over at the police department. When we say on the ground, we're talking there instead of the rooftop. That way it can be worked on. You know, but also one of the reasons we went out, we're talking about a long lead time on this. You know, they're sitting to say we buying, purchasing this, we still have time to look. But this is, while this is done, we're also looking at other options, because we're looking at maybe a 6-month lead time, 5 months. Possibly, we're gonna be back at the end of the summer again, and that building's gonna be 80, 90 degrees in there with these guys trying to stay in there.
So did y'all put out a bid, request for qualifications for engineering services?
No, that's we hired a mechanical engineer, was it Stevens?
Stevens.
That was all done. He did his analysis, came back and said, we recommend going out for bid, which council approved, that's where we are now. And I said, what's your cost estimate? Cause I'm doing a whole project sheet. I said, I wanna put a number in here for me. And that number came in, I said, we're talking about like $300,000+. So that's significant. No,
The engineer did not come in with any other options?
that was the option
we
that
do
his
any,
bid.
like,
Now, he's also
room
doing an alternative, from what I understand,
Huh?
about not using
What
stainless
do you do,
steel and
like
using a different
room cooling,
material.
like a motel or hotel does?
I mean,
That
it's
was what
got-
Ronnie explained to
yeah.
me.
I don't know.
With the mini
That's
splits,
an option.
you
I
wouldn't
mean,
need
as
to
opposed
Yeah,
to
split
putting in a
units
whole
is
brand
option,
new system.
and yeah, you know, while this is out and everything, getting the price, we'll have time hopefully to maybe get something together with those options if available.
Okay.
Cause right
It can
now,
be
aren't
done.
the rooms, I mean, it's all temperature control per room right now anyway, so you're saying looking at some
I'm talking about-
P-TAC units? Or-
Yeah, just putting
Or
some,
mini
yeah,
split.
some room cooling units, you know, whether, kinda like you're having a hotel or.
Little split unit lights or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
On the mini splits.
The little wall
Yeah.
units.
I don't know what the cost of those
I
are.
mean, I think
Don't know.
put one in a
And
couple
don't
years
know.
ago, it was like $800.
Mhm. Yep.
Put 50 of those in there and you're still saving $250,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
Those have to be on the outside wall, but the mini splits can be interior walls, just gotta run the copper lines through
Right.
them, so yeah, let's price down that before we do anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything's gonna come back to y'all, but, I
Yeah.
mean, just,
Are those-
that
are those
price was
permanent
the
or
reason to say, hey, yep,
Permanent.
Permanent?
his estimate was higher than we expected
Okay.
And that's the only option that this engineer
How much
had.
space do they take up?
so far.
Why don't we look at another engineer?
Mhm.
Because, I mean, if that's all he's got,
Well, well, you know, when we looked at this is
I
what.
mean, they got Chilco down the road over there that does this type of stuff.
Mhm.
Was he trying to use partial of the system that was already there?
He's trying to use what is already in there to match up with. You know, other options would be totally
Totally
take
redo?
that out and install what's needed.
Probably
Well, I'd
could've
like
done
him to
the
come
first
and
time.
address us and tell us what he's talking about before we vote any further on this.
We're
I
not
mean, there's
voting on
nothing to vote
anything.
on, it's just giving y'all an update that
Yeah,
the
this is
cost
just an
estimate.
I'd like to hear
Fine.
from him, cause I have a lot of questions on this. I mean, if that's his only option, then why didn't he look at other options? I mean, what's the purpose in having to come
Well,
out and then,
If
okay,
you
we're
remember when we
gonna
spent that $40,000 or whatever it was to repair what was needed, hoping that that would solve the problem. At that time, we was looking at a total package of about $200,000 to move forward. But that estimate with them, which was JEM, not JEM, yeah,
Their partner.
their partner company,
Service company.
you know, their estimate was way up, and, you know, this one here came in, and it's way up as well, you know, but, you know, that was to get back to what we have, use everything we have, and just make that work. Well, that's the best
I mean, but that
option
seems
out.
like we'd be using good money to chase after a bad system.
Well, the bad system is what's in the ground. And when you talk to some of the people, I had no idea, I wasn't here, but the system, underground system was compromised when it was installed, and nothing was done about it then. Whether it's got a leak in it or whatever, and everything, all the nozzles and all are clogged up and not allowing the water to come through and everything. Don't know what the problem is, and again, to go back in and redo all that underground, you'd have to rip up the slab and everything underneath the truck area, the garage. You know, 'cause I think that's where it's all at under there.
And we knew this since Path did their audit, since Path did that energy audit, we knew we had problems with that fire station with that
Yeah, that's
system
one
not
of,
working.
that was one of their big things, you know, for
Mhm.
improvements was the fire department air conditioning.
Yeah.
You know, when we, a couple of years ago when we did that.
Exactly, so.
Yeah. You know, and one of the things Ronnie's looking at as well is what was their recommendation, you know, or did they, I know it was looked at as one of the cost things that needs to be done, but what was their recommendation if they had one at the time?
I
What
don't
kind
think
of
we,
unit?
I don't think we spent the money to get the recommendation,
I
I
don't
think
think
we
so
stopped
neither.
at,
And I don't
just
think
the
it
unit.
stated what their recommendation
Well,
was.
they was talking about $500,000.
Yeah, I don't know what that cost.
Yeah,
I
It
don't
was
know what- I
about
don't know.
500
Yeah.
so.
and a guarantee.
Yeah.
And a guarantee to get your money back.
Mm-hmm, yeah, okey-doke, alright. Any other questions on the AC units at the fire department?
So we're gonna wait for these bids to come in?
We're gonna wait, but we're moving forward with other options as well, whether we, you know, one of the options is gonna be instead of using stainless, use regular steel or galvanized, whatever they normally make them out of. You know, stainless steel is probably what's driving this price up and everything. You know, if one lasts 40, 50 years with galvanized or whatever, you know, and half the price, you know, what's the option? Also, the other option is, you know, regular AC units coming in with that, some type of split unit, mini units or whatever they call all that. There's a bunch of options. You know, with this system here, each bedroom upstairs has its own thermostat, every one of them. And then downstairs, I think each office downstairs, then the conference rooms, and then the kitchen area, those are all on separate thermostats. So it's a complicated system that at the time it all sounds good, the green system, whatever it's called, you know. And,
It's costing green, all right.
Yeah.
but this has been look,
Yeah.
we're gonna put together how much we've already spent on this system throughout the years. It's been a problem.
Both
Since
fire
day one,
departments.
from what I remember.
Yes.
I mean, I remember that we bought a unit out there about 7 years ago, didn't we?
Well, that's on two.
Oh, yeah, I
Power
know that.
station.
Well, that one's
Which
been
is the
replaced
same
twice.
thing,
Yeah.
same, you know, same situation, you know.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of money on these air conditioners.
I remember that unit up there was 20 grand.
Yep, right at 20.
Good. All right, anything else, Mayor?
No, but again, we'll pass on, as soon as we get more information all coming around, we'll pass that on to y'all.
Yes, sir, thank you. Council business, depot rental usage, Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, I needed a little help understanding the revenue report. So I'm just going through and this is on page 2 of the revenue report, general fund, packet page 162. So I'm just trying to go and evaluate kind of how we're progressing, how we're doing with rentals. I don't see anything, I see very little in the accounts. For instance, on the rent for community hall, we have budgeted 70,000. It looks like year to date we've collected 500. I know we're collecting because in the cash balance report,
They
community
may
hall
not.
account is,
They have it in one account, and then they may not have moved it yet.
well,
Let's
moved
see.
it yet. Why are we not putting it in there to start with? So these are allocated accounts. So same thing with Old Town Community Hall. Right now, we have budgeted 32,000 there, 700 year to date. Depot Grounds, we budgeted 1,000 on revenue. I don't see anything that we've collected year to date on that. So what, in this community hall account on the cash balance, is that including all 3 of these venues? Why, and if so, why is that not being reflected on our general fund allocated accounts so we can see how each of these entities are performing in terms of rentals?
It's put in community hall account because when it's received, it goes into that account. And then it's transferred into the general fund when the hall is used. If you look at the account, there's $86,000 in that account. But it's not moved into the general fund, because if someone doesn't use it, it gets deposited back, the money is there to deposit. That, you know,
But that doesn't explain why are we not keeping that in our books, on our general ledger account that we've budgeted for, that it's not reflecting on our general revenue? Because at this point, I don't know, so how much revenue has the Depot Grounds produced? I mean, therefore, and even with both town hall, community halls, because I mean, again, it doesn't delineate it in this cash balance, it's just a simple cash balance. So why is that not being reconciled each month?
I'll check with Sissy on that. But they usually, I don't know if they move it
Yeah, I think
quarterly
on
or
the
whatever.
depot grounds, I sent you that report that I'd gotten,
There's been two,
and I think there's only about 2 rentals on the grounds
We've
itself.
only collected on 2 rentals.
And I know, another council member asked me to put together a list of all the community centers for all the rentals. Katie generally keeps a spreadsheet on that, and kind of updates it irregularly, but updates it. So I'm gonna send that to a council member, and I'll send it to the whole council. You'll see every rental that went through there.
But I guess I'll keep repeating, why are we not putting that on our revenue accounts?
It might be accrual counting where it's not deposited until it's used.
I don't think we do that for any, I mean, what other accounts do we do that for that just goes into a cash balance? I mean, that's,
They're first gonna go in your, if I'm not mistaken, you're gonna go in your, community center thing, because it's a deposit.
Yes.
And then after that event, that's when money gets transferred to general ledger.
but at what point, we're
But
6 months in.
you should see,
to the
I know, that's what
budget.
I'm gonna go back and find that out, to give you that.
I guess what he's saying
Yeah.
is that our revenue expense report is incomplete.
I understand.
And then I'm also looking at, like revenue collections. So I got this report today from Jimmy Ladner's office,
Mhm.
and we got a check for 2.6 or almost $2.7 million on the Valentine's Day, but it's not reflective in our cash balance report.
That our tax from Jimmy
Yeah,
was
Yeah.
deposited Friday. And
same date as our cash balance report?
no, so Friday went into the bank. Once that deposit comes back, we were closed yesterday. That deposit comes back, the slip from the bank gets picked up today, the next business day.
Mhm.
At that point, Dana will push that and put it into the computer, once it comes back and that deposit is accurate.
But then again, if I look
So
at
it's
the
not gonna
cash
be on the
balance
cash report,
report,
cause it's not on, it's not in Encode
It's
yet.
not in there yet.
yeah,
until
but
she
even the
pushes it.
cash balance report doesn't reflect revenues we've already collected.
But that,
You got $2 million in your
that
general
two
fund.
point six, whatever,
Yeah, I understand that,
page
but
the 14th,
the revenue and expense report, which we vote on, is supposed to be accurate, and it's not. Even though it's dated January 31st.
It wasn't, we didn't get the check to the 14th. That's the end of
No, that's
January.
that check.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
reflective on cash balances.
Mhm.
I'm going back to other revenues we receive that aren't reflective in the cash, the revenue expense
If
report.
it hadn't been moved, then it won't show in there, like the, community hall. If it hadn't been moved, then it's not gonna show in your revenue and expense report. It won't show in there till it's moved. The money is still in these accounts.
I know they're in the accounts. I see them. I
Yeah.
see it. But we can't tell how the budget's doing if this report's not updated
In that category.
in
right.
all the categories.
I got
Well, in revenue.
I got you.
There's lots of revenues that I see. I mean, because if you look at this, we're way behind on revenue collections when we're actually not. So people that look at this document would say, hey, you know, you're not in such great shape. But if you look at the
Well,
cash
the
balance,
majority of that revenue comes, it's a steady stream, your sales tax, steady stream of gaming, and then your other big lump sum is your ad valorem taxes. That doesn't, up January is a good month, February is your big month, February hasn't been put in yet, that 2.6, whatever,
Right.
that, I don't remember the
and
exact number.
45 something from the,
That hadn't been put in, so when you get that in, then it's gonna jump your revenue up for the year to show, well, you way above your, 50% at the 6-month mark, or whatever it is. But then you'll see it start tapering off at the end of the year.
yeah, I understand how that
Yeah.
works. I'm just saying it's not reflective in your revenue and expense report. Those numbers aren't, it's not an accurate report, even though it's normally a month behind, but it's still not reflective.
I would think most of it is up to date and accurate, except, the community deposit, for the community halls, whatever that is, if it was rented, 1, 2, 10 times, I don't know those numbers. But besides moving out there, most of it's pretty up to date.
Well, and that just brings me back to the original point, is based on what's in our revenue, I didn't see anything on the depot grounds. I did email Mr. Riso, and he said there were 2 events that have been paid for, but I distinctly remember, I think the Misfits came here to ask the council to rent that depot grounds to shut the street down, I think every second Saturday. And I think they put an application in, so where is that? And we've had more events than just 2 there, so where is that reflected in what we're collecting on the depot grounds?
If someone uses the grounds and doesn't use any of the equipment, anything, the bathrooms are open.
Yeah, but if you're shutting down, if you're shutting down the street, which I think the Misfit, and not to call it the Misfits, but I think that's what they do.
No, the
we were
Misfits
told.
didn't shut down. They went and parked their cars out there and didn't shut anything down.
So they don't shut down any streets, no
Nope.
street closures associated
Nope.
with what they're doing.
They can drive through there. Joe Blow can drive through and stop and go or whatever.
So
They
it's not
never shut the
impeding on
street
it.
down. They never used any of none of the space out there, as far as the pavilions or anything. They just go out there and
So there's
park.
only been 2 sanctioned events at this point at the depot grounds that have been applied for a permit and that we've granted them and collected on?
The depot?
Yeah.
I mean, the Misfits?
No, just the depot in general,
Oh, I'm sure, yeah, I think that's been used a couple times.
a couple
I
times.
mean, I don't know.
I mean, I got
The one you talking about every,
Yeah,
whatever,
the Misfits, I think, is every second Saturday based on what they came to council a few months back.
second or third Saturday they used it,
And
but I
just
don't
to
think they
clarify,
put in this year.
do we do it by day or per event? Because I think there was one that you gave me, Mr. Russo, was Nereid's. It was a festival. I think it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was just one day though. It was just $400. Do we do it by day or by event?
By day of,
So is there a reason why
Should
we
be.
didn't? So that should have been Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not just one day.
Saturday, Sunday, I don't know if they charge Friday, set up I don't know, cause I mean, it's still not shut down. It's
I guess the
still-
point is, it seems as though, and it's on Facebook, the events are, it seems like there's been more than 2 events, and we've only collected on 2 events. Still can't
I
see it
don't
on the revenue report, I had to get it from Mr. Riso, so still don't understand why that's not, like, all of our other accounts reflected on a monthly basis. As we get that income,
Gotcha.
it could go straight to that ledger account. So still, that's the point I'm trying to make, is I don't see the clarity in that whatsoever.
We'll see what we have to put in there.
Again, another council member asked for a detailed report. I think Doug has asked for it previously on every rental and every community center and the train depot, and we'll get that to y'all.
Did you get it, Mr. Seal? Was that recent?
No, have not,
It's
yeah.
been a few months since he
Yeah.
asked for it.
But, so,
So why is that report not,
It's a spreadsheet that Katie will just update, she'll go
Yeah.
back.
That
to her
used to be a
files and she'll
standard,
Yeah, it
that
used
used
to
to be
be.
a standard
Right.
report given to the council in the packet.
yeah, it just showed the rentals and the deposits and stuff like that that were made. And I know we don't, like, if somebody makes a deposit for June, right? I guess that that money stays into a different
Deposit
account
account,
until it's earned. And then,
correct.
cause like a deposit, right? Cause sometimes you see on a docket,
yeah, and that
earned,
they
we
get
gotta
the-
give
yeah,
it back,
yeah,
right?
I
So
get the
that's-
deposit.
that all stays in a separate account until the facility is used, then the money's transferred from that account into the community center. But yeah, you're right, there should be some more revenue, in there, and, those are loss-making assets as they are, so whatever we can make off of them is good.
Can y'all
So
send out a-
Caitlin, can you make sure that we get that report monthly? As it used to be? Thank you.
And when y'all get it, can y'all send us a follow-up email? Thank you.
Yeah, if somebody ever asks about the community center, I got challenged one day about the community center being a cash cow for the city.
No.
We actually lose $37,234 a year off rentals. Building insurance alone is $85,000. So it's just astronomical. So no, none of our venues are capital-making assets. They're all loss-making assets.
Well, which is why we need
Yeah,
to ensure
Community
that
service,
permits
basically.
are being paid for and
Right.
that we're at least paying the expenses on it. We're not
Yep.
trying to make money, but paying
No,
expenses.
yeah,
and
it should be
taxes.
about net zero.
Elevator at train, you finished, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, I am.
Elevator at train depot, Mr.
Yeah, just where we at, I know we've been putting some money in, trying to Band-Aid them. Did we get
I think it was last Friday, something went down a couple times. Originally, when they started the construction work in there, the repairs and everything, they undid it on the wall, the fire alarm and everything is linked into that as well. It's been replaced back and everything hooked back up, but the usage is still doing so. So Ronnie put an out of order, they on call, waiting on them to come in. Gotta get it to where, we went by there today, ran it up a few times, it worked fine. Gotta get it to where it'll break again, where it's faulted, and not reset it, so they can come in and troubleshoot.
which relays bad?
But waiting on them, to come in. He's gonna have somebody back over there tomorrow running it up and down, and all that.
Did we get a,
Yeah, they did do,
I saw the card.
replace the card on
Right.
it a few weeks back or whatever, like 2,500,
I saw that.
And then there was something else that, I think they had a price on 80 to rebuild it.
That's what I was gonna ask, did y'all get an off-the-cuff estimate?
To
on
rebuild
what
the
it-
elevator?
Yeah, to go in and rebuild it, and I think Ronnie's gonna get them, find out what this is here, and possibly cost of a new elevator.
Okay, yeah, it's,
see if we
I mean, they do have a life. I mean, we're putting in a new elevator.
How old is that
plant.
elevator?
I would think it's original, so whatever,
Whenever they first started making elevators, right?
They used to have a guy that would push the button for you.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
I mean, they have service life. Ours is 25 years old in the plant. We're changing it out now because
you know.
it
oh,
does
it's
have a
way
service
over
life.
that, you
So
know.
we'll run that.
But, and we talked with the lady up there today, is it, like when they're real busy, when it goes up, when it's used, or is it just random, no matter whether it's, 1 or 2 times up and down? And when talking with her, it's pretty random. It's not when it's heavy used, in that scenario only, or it's not, every other day. It's just a random deal, got a mind of its own. And they go reset it and get it working, but sooner or later, it's not gonna work. Somebody's gonna get stuck, and that's why Ronnie shut it down for safety reasons.
So on the depot project, do we have any money left over from the original construction project that we could maybe use some.
We
If
do,
we
and
do-
we're also checking, I think, to see if we can use some money from that grant.
How much we got left
So-
over in the grant?
Things such as the roof, even the project that's going right now, we're basically under budget. So I've asked Ed to check with the grant,
Okay.
people to say, would an elevator, which is ADA,
Right.
it's an ADA grant,
Mhm.
would be eligible.
Okay.
It's a 50/50 grant, so if it's an 80,000 expense, our portion would be 40,000.
Yeah.
But so, we're investigating that
And
to
that'd
see,
be
okay,
worthwhile.
with these extra funds, we think the extra funds, can we apply that and
Okay.
basically redo the
So
elevator?
were you asking, do we have any money left over in the GO bond?
No, just, and so we got grant funds for the,
Grant.
From
the
railroad
roof
up-
repair and
Yeah.
the railroad, and it was
Southern Rail Commission.
270,
I
and I
think,
think
yeah,
We got 270 to matching fund.
Mhm.
It was-
Yeah.
70,
What-
275.
And it came in around 240 or something,
I think less than that.
230.
Didn't we spend like 218?
217 or something like that.
Something like that. Also, we
Right.
did the roof, we did a sprinkler fire system in
Yeah,
it,
I mean, it's a lot of
Every money
stuff,
set
right?
aside
already
for the
been done.
elevator Repair,
but we are under budget from where we
Okay.
projected.
what we projected.
Yeah.
At some
think
point, we just gotta
there's a
stop throwing
capacity
good
to
money
do
after
it.
bad
You're right. So,
equipment.
so Ed Wyckoff's looking and see if we can use the money, ADA money to, and then we'll just have to come up to 40,000, if it's 80, whatever it is.
50/50
50,
grants,
50,
whatever it
you know.
is, we'd split it.
Yeah, it'd be a
Okay.
50/50 match, whatever it is.
Okay,
So, again, that was a week, 10 days ago, a week ago, I met with Ed on that.
okay. Yeah, if we- at next meeting, if we can figure out, I know Lonnie, I've talked to Lonnie a few times, and, it's liability, not a liability issue, but it's just pain, trying to get tourists up and down and getting stuck, so, I know it's,
Well, it definitely impacts, I think, the tourists that are coming on buses and trying to get up there, I think that's a major
right,
issue.
yeah.
For,
And again, it's ADA, we
museums.
could use that ADA bell, right? Say, hey, we need this for the second
Mhm.
floor for the museum. So we can continue, appreciate it.
Update on health and sanitation ordinance, Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, this is the other item I had. I did have a constituent that had reached out. She had asked to be on the meeting. Unfortunately, she's a nurse in the New Orleans area and got called out. So she did write a letter, and I'd like to read that for the record so we can try to get Miss Egan some updates. So just to read the letter. Good afternoon, Mike and Kyle. Due to work obligations, I'm unable to attend tomorrow's council meeting and would like my letter to be included on the agenda. Thank you for your assistance in this matter. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Margaret Egan. I reside at 247 Valentine Street, adjacent to Coastwood Properties. Since mid-2022, I've been actively dealing with and trying to get resolution on the issues of paint fumes, paint particle overspray, and sawdust overspray from Coastwood products. The continued noncompliance hinders my health and safety as well as my ability to have full use and enjoyment of my property. I would like to request an update on the enforcement of health and sanitation ordinance that was passed on August 8th, 2023 as it pertains to ongoing occurrences of paint fumes, paint particle overspray, and sawdust overspray from Coastwood products. I was told on November 6th, 2023 that a new system was ordered and expected to be delivered and installed in 3 weeks' time from that date. It is now nearing the end of February and the issue continues. Please confirm when and if a certified notice of violation was issued to Coastwood products for the continued noncompliance with the new health and sanitation ordinance. If a violation was issued, does it stipulate a comply by date? Can Coastwood product provide a date purchase order for the diversion unit that we were told was ordered in early November? I'm hopeful that we will soon reach full resolution on this issue, and thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Respectfully, Margaret Egan. And yes, Mayor, you
Yeah.
wanna address that?
So on that, one of the things was dust, or sawdust, whatever particles coming across and all that. There was an area that at times, I guess, there was 2 feet or so, 2.5 feet in between buildings where the sawdust went into the hoppers and all, and then hauled off and all. So in the meantime, that has been closed up, so hopefully that will stop the sawdust from coming out of that bin onto anyone's property and all. The other day, they had another leak on the line that blows it into here. They had a big duct line coming in. There was a crack in it, hole wore into it. Since then, he has went and got everything needed to repair that crack and all. As far as the odors, there's no particles in the odors. With that, he's putting in a blower. He's going to move it from the property line side of the building out to the front side of the building over there, and then from there, they go and put it in a blower, and it goes out through the big stack out on the front side. So hopefully with that, you know, the odors won't be going out through the building or whatever. You know, we've got, Margaret has been pretty good, you know, trying to text and everything, you know, when there's odors and all, go by there. I'm not sure what was found when everybody goes by there or not. You know, one of the things as far as, I don't know if she's got pictures of a car or porch and all that's full of,
Yeah,
you know, the
Code
soda.
our previous code enforcement officer took those pictures and said they would relay those, because it was documented,
Okay.
yeah.
But, you know, my thing is, you know, whenever that does happen, she needs to call and make a police report on that.
A police report.
Yeah, that way it will be there and be put in the court system then, you know. So, in the meantime, you know, Bill's working, you know, doing what he can do, trying to do, you know, to do this. And it is evidently an unpleasant odor for some, I don't know. Can't, you know,
I've been there, and Ms. Russo, you joined me, Mayor, I think you did on occasion, and our previous code enforcement officer, 3 different occasions, the fumes, every single time, Mr. Russo, I think we made the comment, I mean, it was more than noticeable.
yeah.
And Ms. Egan has been incredibly patient throughout all this, and she wants to be an amicable neighbor to the business and wants the business to do well. I think she's made that abundantly clear every time I've visited. But it is one that, unfortunately, I'm not able to give her. I mean, she did ask the question on, okay, we have that new ordinance that was passed, health and sanitation back in August. What's the result? What can I expect? And I unfortunately haven't been able to give her any kind of validation that a notice was sent. It's just, oh yeah, something's been ordered, and that was back in October, and here we are in late February. And I think to Miss Egan's credit, even in her letter, was, you know, is there a comply date? What time frame did we give? Was there official notice given? That does, because if one was not, then it just kind of keeps getting kicked down. And I have a hard time responding to my constituent, well, it's been ordered. I can't really give you any confirmed data, what's been submitted in terms of an enforcement letter or
So,
any
you know,
indication.
one of the things with this ordinance, and it was passed, this and that, but, you know, it's an odor, it's not an unhealthy odor where it's gonna harm someone. So what is an odor that you can call on?
Well, I think there's more than odor. There's paint dust that's all around
That's
the
totally different.
Well, but that's still part of the health and sanitation ordinance, so.
That's right.
So how
Well, that's
we-
anything. That's not even part of that. That's anything that can be acted on. And that's why also, you know, when I talk to her again, you know, my thing is make sure she files a police report on that. That way it's done, the report is there, and then, you know, just more, you know, if it's something that occurs with a malfunction, you know, once a year, once every 5 years, you know, that may be acceptable.
I
But
don't
if
know
it's
if
happening
it's-
on a weekly, monthly,
From my understanding,
basis.
it's not, it's more frequent than weekly. It's almost, it's a routine occurrence. I think Ms. Egan doesn't want to tie up, and I've talked to her about that, tie up our resources with the police and doing a report every time it smells there. So again, and
Report it with the police department, so because the way that you remedy this will ultimately be through the court system. The court system needs evidence, it needs timestamps, it needs police reports to able actually for the prosecutor to be able to prosecute something like this.
did we
So the
give an
code
initial?
enforcement can say, hey, you know, Mr. Adams, will you do this? This is our ordinance. We're gonna, you know, this is what we can do. But as far as actual penalties, that goes through the court system.
But have we even issued a non-compliance letter? Have we done that process yet?
I'll
Have we-
check with Ricky and see on that.
Well, and that's why I brought it up here. I've emailed 2 different occasions, and that's been the response, is I'll check into it, and I never got any response. I mean, it should be pretty easily filed if a letter was
Yep.
issued. So I do expect a response on that.
So what, if the police are called out, what do they cite? Or what do they just do a report?
They need to do a report, yes.
Yep.
And I mean, a police officer can cite
I
a
mean, I just don't know what they,
violation.
you know,
They
if they,
can,
if I call the police, say I got a bad odor at my house, and they come out, they're like, let's see what you want us to do. It's kinda like the parking problem we have around town, that really you call out somebody for parking, and like, okay, we got cars parked, what do we do? So,
well, they can give a violation of a city ordinance. So, I mean, if it's just, if they go out to your house
they would know
and you
that-
got a dead animal on
Right,
your
right.
front
Okay.
lawn, just, I mean, they can write you a citation for,
so the police, all the police know that.
they should, yes.
Well, that's my question, right? Cause we expect them to do that, a lot of our ordinances, but
Correct.
I-
And
Yeah.
they're pushing that more as well.
Okay.
You know, making them more familiar with our ordinances to where they can go out and act on it.
Okay, cool.
That's not my job, you know.
No, yeah, no, I would
Because I
kind
mean,
of,
you know, it's not laws, but it's the city laws that they also have to enforce.
And Mayor, when we're checking on the letter, can we also check on the pictures that were received from the code enforcement that were documented on the paint spray on the, this paint spray on her property as well as alongside the fence?
Yes.
You know, again, we tried going through the DEQ route on this. We were told it's under the threshold of what's, can be regulated by DEQ, so it's up to the city. So then we have an ordinance in place now, and so now here we are 6 months later, and we're not any steps closer. To Ms.
I think
Egan's.
we are as far as him, you know, I think closing up some of that wall, the open areas and all, I think he's spending a lot of money on this blower to get it from over here to over there.
Do we have a confirmed delivery and install date?
It is delivered, and it should be installed hopefully this week. He's trying to get there tomorrow, but they shooting for this week to get it installed. He was out of town last week and all, and we, you know, with, I don't know, Mardi Gras break or whatever it was. But anyway, you know, the guy that's doing it was out of town, and he should get it done this week. And again, you know, he's taking steps. He wants to be a good neighbor. He's tried to go over there and talk to him and all to find out, you know, and everything, and unable to make contact with them as well. And, you know, he's trying to do what he needs to do. You know, he's not trying to, he's been there a long time. That's been a commercial piece of property before my time, and everybody's in here as well. It's, you know, and again,
I guess that's my thing, is not being rude to anyone, is if you buy a house next to something, do you expect that to just change all of a sudden when you buy something next to
No, but
something
it's
that's been there
still a
forever? I
owner's
understand.
responsibility not to shed chemical spray dust onto their neighbor.
Oh, I understand that.
And
I
our
agree
ordinance
with that
supports that.
100%.
So,
not,
this
yeah.
didn't just crop up overnight. This has been an ongoing, again, Ms. Egan's been incredibly patient on it. So
Yes.
we just,
yes.
again,
That's
there's
what I'm
a
saying.
responsibility of both.
Yes, I'll say so. Fix whatever he's not in compliance with, and
Thank you. That's all I have.
thank you.
also on that note,
I think it-
Ricky went around today to the paint shop on, Longfellow Highway, you know, the automotive place. They have pretty much same system as he got, blows it out through the stacks. Same system. They do a lot more painting there, you know, with the automobiles and everything.
The system that he's gonna put in place,
No, the system that he has in place right now.
because there's a fan blowing right to right
Those
to her
fans
house.
aren't being used.
Hmm.
It's what I'm told.
Mhm. But
Well,
they kick on.
Mhm.
They do kick
No,
on.
they're not supposed to be kicked on.
But they do. But just from the homeowner has stated.
Go, if we don't have a police reporter, if we don't have documentation,
Expected
but
to call
Kyle,
the
let
police
me-
every time a fan kicks on?
you have to, in order for us to have
Well, if
documentation.
it's blowing out.
I mean, we
yes,
have
if
to
it's
have
blowing out,
something.
Yes, it should be called. But one of the things,
I'll relay that again,
one of the
too.
things is when we call him and let him know about this is, well, we're not using our fans, you know, they're not running. Or we wasn't working in there. I don't think the fans kick on automatically. I don't know, I'll check and see.
But if we got a
And
police
maybe that's the
officer,
problem, you
that
know,
can
if they
say
kick on
he
automatically.
went there and the fans were running, then we got,
Yeah,
had
that's,
to say that he was
but yeah,
violating it.
now,
so.
again, this is what we're told when we contact, you know, the owner and all about this. That, hey, we're not using that today, we didn't use it today, we're not using those fans at all back there. Now, does one of the workers go in and kick it on? You know, could be a possibility of that.
Well, it sounds like this should be getting resolved here very shortly with the
Hopefully.
new diversion unit. And in the meantime, I'll relay again that if this occurs, to call the police, make a report.
Okay.
He did, he went to a couple places, and they had the same system that he has in that just vents out through a stack, you know, above the ceiling up there.
It's a HEPA filter system,
Yes.
but your doors have to be closed. Your building has to be closed up. I don't know how many years ago we have on our minutes that those doors to them buildings should be closed at all times when they're working.
Well, where this is happening at,
In that back
It's on-
corner,
is in the back, and they all
Right.
closed.
so just over time,
That
we've,
vent is what's going straight out
right,
to Miss Egan's yard, property right there
Right.
on that side. They did put up a screen
Right.
further down, but that's still not the answer, you know.
Right.
That might help it from going over, but you know,
I don't think the
don't
screen is
use
fully
it.
finished. I think he put up a couple sections, but it
Yeah.
didn't
Cool.
cover completely.
yeah, it's,
You know.
it's hard to mitigate.
Just solve the
Alright.
problem and don't worry about the fix, you know,
Yeah.
and that would work.
Okay, so.
Cool.
Get a follow-up from Ricky on that, please, on
Yes.
the letters going out. Anything else, Mr. Lewis?
No.
All right,
Thank you.
okay. New or old business, Mr. Hoffman?
I talked to the mayor about, something prior to, and he
Were we
said
in council business or were we doing project updates?
Council business.
Need to-
Okay,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr.
I'm
Hawkins.
sorry.
fine. So, he's addressing it with Ronnie.
Okay,
I don't have anything else.
okay. Anything, Mr. Reed?
Oh, yes. I said I would be revisiting this from time to time, the municipal reserve fund. Have we, question number one, have we been reimbursed? Because I don't see no expected reimbursements from that MEMA deal that we were supposed to be reimbursing. It was supposed to be put into the reserve account.
He's talking about the police department,
The
reimbursement.
grant money,
2 million, that.
Yeah, it's just
2
been
million.
taken off the list here along with,
But Gary Police Department wouldn't be FEMA MEMA.
No, not
Yeah,
the,
that's
not
not-
the
Jeffrey
police.
said FEMA. I mean.
When
So it was-
we took the money out to municipal reserve, and I think we funded some projects, hurricane cleanup, and it was supposed to be reimbursed.
yes, we got all that back.
Okay,
That's what we built the police department with.
no. No, we were supposed to put that back in the reserve, the municipal reserve, because,
It did go back into the reserve when we got it from FEMA. But 2.5 was allocated, something like that,
right, it was around.
Garrett?
yeah.
Mhm.
for the police department?
Yeah, that we're supposed to get a reimbursement on,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
we provided upfront money.
Well, that's the 3 million we getting back.
Mm-hmm.
We got 3 million worth of grants for the police department.
Mhm.
But we also had, I think it was 2.5, I think was the local that we had to go with the original money to build the police department. And so it ended up being around 5 million roughly, give or take, with the furniture and all. So we're getting 3 million total of that back. So we're gonna spend less on the police department than what we expected and all.
So we're gonna get it back, or we got it back?
We don't have our police department money back yet.
That'll go to.
We got one
We got
million of,
1 million.
we're due 2 million. We received 1 million, whatever day last week, the first one from MDA. Well, actually, it's the second million. Gulf Coast
Yes.
Restoration Fund money.
Mm-hmm.
We've submitted another million for year 3 of that grant, and we're waiting on that deposit.
Yes.
So we received 1 million last week, that we had submitted, I
that's
think
going
it's
into
year
our reserve, right?
2022.
That's
So-
gonna,
Once that'll go back into municipal reserve special, from there, all loans that are due from will begin to be paid back. So I
What
emailed
loans are those?
internal loans between funds,
Well, how many do you have?
whichever ones we've done over the
Could you
last
provide
couple
us
of
with
years.
those? I mean, I'm not aware of that.
They're on each docket, each
They on
agenda
the-
item.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
funds, they're on the.
Some of
actually
it
on the
come from
document.
the
Basically, it's
reserve,
like
some of
use
it was
up with the
cash flow,
1.4,
but some of it go back into the general fund, some of it go into the reserve fund.
regular reserve.
That's where the money funded the police department, $5
So-
million.
So I've asked our finance office on our next meeting to basically, now that we've got 1 million in, hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we'll get that second million.
Where'd that million go?
It got deposited
Where?
into our bank account.
Which bank account, Mike? Let's stop cutting to the chase.
If it comes from Gulf Coast Restoration Fund, it's an electronic transfer that goes into the general
General
fund.
fund.
So it's
Because
in the
that's how
general fund.
Department
Yes.
puts it. From there, we gotta transfer it, write a check, transfer it to the special reserve fund. After that, we gotta transfer it back to pay back loans. So it's a whole process, because we've got 22 bank accounts.
So that's why the 2 million that was on the first meeting, the special municipal reserve fund, is it's not on the cash balance this.
Wait, repeat
on
that?
this-
So last meeting, they had
Balance.
expected reimbursement, $2 million. They had $2,337,024.47. Now, all of that's been erased for this cash
We've
balance.
received 1 million last week from Gulf Coast Restoration Fund.
And I'm saying that the thing that it says is expected reimbursement, it's gone. It's
Yeah,
not
we don't
on this
have nothing.
report, along with $37,000.
I can look into that.
You wanna look at this one?
Yeah.
You
No, I mean, I've
submitted
got it.
So is this an accurate cash balance? Is this reflected? This is 216. Is that?
It's just not showing the
Yeah.
reimbursement.
I mean, it's the 2 million's off of it. So if you look at the total expected after
No, I see
reimbursement,
what you're saying. But we're still due, we have not received $1 million from Gulf Coast Restoration Fund. I asked that question today.
2 million, you said.
No, we received 1 million last week. This Kim came to tell me because we were all jacked up about it. We've been waiting on it.
And which loans did those pay back?
It hasn't paid back anything. yet.
Nothing yet.
So where's the $1 million now? Where did it end up?
I would,
General
the
fund.
deposit from the MDA, the Department of Finance, is going into the general fund.
So it's
And
in the
from
general
there-
fund right now?
Then we have to move it.
To where?
It's
To
gonna
where?
go to the special reserve where we ran the project out of. Then we have to pay off the internal loans, which
And
will
how
put
much do
money
you
back
have in
into.
internal loans?
I don't know that question
Will
off
you
off
get
the top
back
of my
to
head.
us?
Yes,
And tell us how much you have in internal loans?
sure.
When will you get back to us?
I'll do that tomorrow.
Oh, man, you're awesome.
Thanks.
1.5.
And how, another question, how are we, funding our reserve accounts?
How we funding what?
Our reserve accounts, how are we putting money into that? We got, according to this report, we got 316,000 in the, municipal reserve, and then the emergency cash reserve, we got 1.1 million in there. How are we, in the future, how are we funding those reserve accounts? Where are we getting money from to put into those reserve accounts?
One of them was from the overage of the casino revenues, was one of
It
those.
still is.
Yes.
Anything over, I don't know what that number
Over our
was.
budgeted number.
We had
Anything
some money
over what we
budgeted for
budgeted, I don't have
emergency
the revenue
That's
expense.
the end of the year.
But whatever we budgeted in casino money goes into it.
Yeah, payroll money too.
And then also we've taken others and put in there when we get ahead as well. We also have money again coming from the police department funds out of the 2 million. We'll have some of that, I think it's 1.5, or I mean, 0.5, that's gonna be somewhere.
And we're gonna put that back in the reserve. Not in the special reserve, cause we won't,
Special
the
reserve,
special reserve will
it
be
was
closed
the
out,
police
right?
department. Money dedicated to the police department was
Right.
the special reserve.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah, and
fund,
that was 2.5 because we got sale of the building.
sale of the building,
We set aside money.
money
That
set
wasn't part of the
aside.
general fund. We took it and we set it
That is
aside
correct. It was like
physically.
2.5, something like that. I don't know the exact number.
That was our startup.
That's right. And then
And we got an extra $1 million last year when we went through the
that's
legislative
3
session.
million. Total of 3 million in grants we got for the police department. And the project run about 5 million. So again, we'll have, roughly $500,000 to put somewhere in one of these accounts. Whether it's the reserve, your regular reserve, which we use to front projects and
I guess
matches
the
and all
point,
that.
the point
And
is that these repayment funds are not in the budget. Those aren't budgeted funds because you can't base your new budget on what's owed to you. So that $2 million that you're saying is getting repaid, that's not budgeted funds. And that has to be reallocated. And I've made this point.
Well, it
many times.
depends where it came from. If you took it out of a fund, you gotta pay that fund back. If you started with that fund, and no matter if it was last year or this year, whenever, that money was, let's just say if it was.
I'm just saying, I've never seen those borrowings that you're talking about.
It's on every time we
All right,
do
Let's do this. I want to make a
transaction.
motion. I want a full accounting of the police department with every
No,
loan that
a
you have.
transaction where the money comes from is on every revenue, on
No,
every
no, I'm not gonna,
docket.
I'm not gonna go back and search it. I want
Okay.
one solid report. So with your pleasure, Mr. President, I wanna make a
But-
motion on this.
Okay, but hold on, but when you stated you never seen this and all, you see it every docket when money is moved and where
Mike,
the money
we see
goes.
a lot of money moving.
But don't
Okay.
say you never seen it,
I didn't say I never saw it.
so
I'm just saying, we set
every
aside
docket
2.5
shows
million.
where money goes.
Yes.
And if it goes from one account into the other account, it says loan to pay this
Yeah.
and to front the money till we reimburse.
That we can talk about.
Okay, so I need a final accounting.
You want,
I want a final account.
I just wanna clear up though with that.
I wanna know how
If
many
the
loans
money
we
is
have out
shown
there.
where it went, and every time it is moved, it is there.
That's right, I want that
That's it.
report.
And
So I'm
when
gonna
it
make a
comes
motion.
back,
Huh?
it comes back to where it came from, then it's got to be moved to this account.
And it's
and
got to be
that account got to
reallocated.
be moved back. Remember, this is part of that, Sissy was taking money and moving it into this account from this account to this account last year. And then the auditor says, well, you can't do that. You gotta move it from here to here, and then from here back to here. It was a 4-step process instead of a 1-step process. And that's where we're at now, trying to, the money came from here, so you gotta move it back to here, then you gotta take it from there and move it to here, and then back to the original place.
Well, I'm glad,
But,
that we're at the point in the city, because a few years ago, we couldn't talk about this.
nope,
Because we didn't have money to talk about.
nope.
But we can talk about it now. So hopefully we can get that.
Hold on, Jeffrey, let
those
me finish
report-
and make a
Oh, yeah,
motion.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
go
As a council, y'all need to make a decision on this. So I wanna make a motion that we get a full accounting, all loans, all expected revenues to be received, to be reported back to us for the next meeting.
Okay. And when you say loans, talking anything that one account owes another account, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Motion, Mr. Noblock.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Lewis. Any further discussion on that?
And if there's any ambiguity, or if somebody's not clear, then call us, and we can get the rest of the information.
Okay.
I mean, you can, discussion on the interfund transfers, if you search on there.
All police-related only.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, there's a ton of interfund transfers that we've made, but yeah, as far as the police department, they're specific, but you can search them in the
It is there.
practice.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Vote the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
One more thing.
All right, Ms. Reed.
With the ARF money, we have 2.6, 2.7, well, with expected reimbursements. Do we have to spend that money by 26? Was that the, agreement? Do we have to
ARPA?
spend? Yeah,
Committed by 24, spent by 26.
spend
like
by
the fall.
26.
Mhm.
I just wanted to ask the question,
Yep.
do we have any projects on the horizon? Are we gonna team up with the county, with anybody to put together projects to spend this
There's a
money?
very large sewer project
Yeah.
that the council is working on. So
Okay.
we've
That-
done 1.5 estimate, Jason.
That's the video trucks that
Video
you see
trucks
around
you see.
town that are going and videoing the lines.
Right,
That's that project. That's phase 1. And then phase 2 will be going in and lining all of those lines. Jason, I'm sure can,
That's a project
Some-
we're doing with this fund right now. We don't know the total cost, but the
mhm.
county also funded some money. We was able to double up on that as well.
700,000.
So we're teaming up with the county on that particular project?
Correct.
Is
no,
that what we're
yeah,
doing?
well, the county
The county-
allocated, was it 700?
I think it was
Right, it's
700.
$700,000 of their ARPA fund, money.
Mhm.
They allocated to the city of Bay St. Louis to go to our 3.4, that sound,
We're gonna end up with like 8.2.
3.2?
Yeah.
And so then what we did is we submitted a grant application to MCWI, which is the program that DEQ runs, where that money, the federal money came under ARPA. And so we took what the city had, coupled with what the county did, submitted it, and got a matching grant from MDEQ. So now we're working with a little over $8 million, and that is what's funding the sewer project.
Okay,
And so phase 1 was the video, and then it'll go into bidding a unit price type contract for lining.
so we got about $8 million to do this project, but we don't know how much we're gonna spend out of
Our
ours.
projection,
We need about 12, I think,
right
don't
now.
we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need
The
12
entire
for-
project to do everything, I think Jason estimated around 12 million.
Right over.
You know, we're trying to get the other 4 million, that would do the entire city,
Mhm.
but who knows, maybe we get lucky and can do the whole city on 8 million. Probably not, but
Mhm.
we're gonna go as far as 8 million and take it. But we're not spending any of our money on this. This is
Yeah.
straight federal money, with matches from the state and everything, and the county, that is, stepped up to help as well.
Okay, so if we're not gonna spend our money, I mean, we're gonna have still 2.6.
No, you'll spend your ARPA money. You have to spend your ARPA money dollar for dollar in order to submit the reimbursement to DEQ. So that part
So
you
we'll
will,
front it,
Correct.
and then get the
I got you.
reimbursement.
Reimbursement.
back. Yeah.
All right,
No, we gotta spend everything to get reimbursed,
And-
double money.
yeah, and you do the videoing, so then you'll be able to identify the worst areas to start there with your repairs.
How much the county's, ponying?
About 700.
700,000.
700,000?
okay.
And we've been fully reimbursed on the 700,000.
Yeah, so they've already,
We submitted those receipts first.
yeah,
So it's
so
like
you've already
1.4
received them.
they gave us.
Okay, that's all, Mr. President.
All right. Mr. Seal.
wait till Jason comes up.
Okay, Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, just a couple items. Mayor, can we get with Ron, do we have any more of the crushed millings from the asphalt, the crushed millings that we?
Yep.
Is it, Ballard Court, I think we had put that down a few months ago. It might have been a little longer than that, about a year, and it did really well, kind of better than limestone. But if we can get some, I think Ballard's starting to rut out again. I know we go in there and clean those ditches out, so it might be good for our trucks to have, fill those potholes. Let's see. Oh, I spoke with Ronnie a couple weeks back. I think it's on the list. Can we just follow up? I think Miss Sue Manlove over there on the corner of Bay Oaks and Central had some complaints about sitting water, and it usually flows. I did go right by there a few days ago. It's still from all that rain, still just sitting there.
On
So
the corner of,
Bay Oaks and Central.
by the lift station?
Yeah, right by the lift station. And she says it usually flows. I think, like I said, Ronnie's got it on the list to look at, but if we can just follow up with Miss Sue. And let's see, the last one, Mayor, we have the pleasure to meet our new record director. at some point in the
It'll
near
be at the
future.
next meeting.
Perfect. All right, look forward to meeting him. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. All right, Mr. Seal.
The little bridge, wooden bridge over Magnolia Branch, we need to do some maintenance on that right there on Dunbar.
Yes,
Outfall, it's,
there and the one, next one down the road.
yeah, that one, I just got a, picture yesterday from a constituent, and the bottom toe board is, right, the first ramp board is busted out, and it looks like it's pretty bad shape, so we can just probably redeck that.
I don't know if they got to the one down that's going.
Yeah, it's
The next
concrete
one
down there,
as
it's just,
well or
just
not?
a handrail, that's
Yeah.
concrete, but
No,
just,
the next one down, they were supposed to replace that bridge
yeah,
as well.
we need to,
right.
just replace all them deck boards on the one over Magnolia Branch there.
Right there, going to the hospital,
Mr. Noblock?
Dunbar Village.
Let's see, what's the status of, Court Street? Is work supposed to be starting on that? Court Street, Community Hall?
Garage, okay.
Parking
Putting
garage.
together scope of work, now. When
We hired Machado Patano
yeah.
on that. They have created a scope of work based on what their initial assessment was and the other work that's been done with Jason and,
Neely
and then
Gallagher.
we're also looking at doing some of the work in-house and getting quotes that are outside of,
Just
what
small
they're-
things.
Now,
kinda
we
keeping them
were awarded $1
structural.
million, right, for that? Is that a
with
match?
1 million
Yeah.
with a
and
20% match,
200,000
Gulf Coast
match.
Restoration Fund.
The thing we doing in-house is very small, just nothing major, anything like that.
Okay.
You know, but we're looking to move forward on that quickly and all. Hopefully in the next
I mean,
month or so.
well, the idea was, we told them 90 days to have something that we could bring to council for bid when
Yeah,
we
I
awarded
just-
them.
Wanna
you know,
follow
But
up
Jan,
on that.
but Public Works is doing some other work interior now. You know, that's, the things that hold the water lines kind of rusting and kind of sagging. So they're up there changing those things out, that kind of stuff.
All right.
Me and Mike was over there about a year or two ago, and them things looked like it was about to break. It was sagging so bad, but.
The solar panels, is that for exterior lights in the parking area? Does anyone know?
I thought that's what it was for. I mean, they're not big enough
They
to
really-
power anything major other than a couple of
I think
lights.
it was some, and I'm not sure if they work or not. Ronnie's checking on that as well.
There's several that are broken.
All right.
So.
Anything else, Mr.
recommendation is
Noblock?
to
No, I don't
move
think I'm
on
good.
that.
Okay, we'll move on. Public forum, Mr. Neither Warner, Live Oak Registry. Welcome.
Anita Warner on behalf of the Live Oak Registry. Today I'd like to talk to you about tree preservations, and specifically I'd like to reference the property at 251 Cary Court, because it had seven oak trees on it. And last fall, one of the neighbors called me and said, Anita, there's all these white X's on the oak trees over there. This is in the fall. And so I go over and, okay. And then the folks who bought this property, a Mr. Climas, who was in New Orleans, came and applied for a variance and wanted to build an 85-foot house on this 94-foot lot. So he was denied by planning and zoning. And then it came before y'all, and y'all denied it. And so we thought, good, because all the neighbors signed. I mean, I have, all of this is what the folks in the neighborhood said. And then on Arbor Day, Arbor Day in Mississippi is the second Friday in February. On Arbor Day, I'm down planting trees at the Methodist Church, so they'll have an oak tree on Main Street, and I get a phone call. They're taking down the oak trees at 251. And I get there, and there's Councilman Lewis and me and a couple of the neighbors, and there's a giant backhoe knocking down. Now, and the reason this was very upsetting, of course, it was Arbor Day, and you're taking down live oak trees. And these live oak trees, the one in the far corner was 80 years old, the one in the middle was 74, and the one on the right was 68. Now, there were two water oaks. Take those things down right away. They're dangerous. And so we have this huge, long statute about tree preservation, having the tree preservation advisor looking at it, doing a plan and how to protect. And was any of that done in this case? What I think I heard was, well, you don't really have to do that. The city code enforcement or building inspector can just give them an okay to take out the trees because the trees are in the footprint of the house. I mean, folks, and then I heard that, well, he's gonna get a mitigation. He's gonna get them to get some trees that are this big instead of trees that are 6, 7, 8 circumference. So,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if our process was followed. We have this really nice process, but it's very upsetting. And the other thing I hope we do with respect to this property is because there are trees along the side that belong to the neighbors, those should be protected when these people start building this house. We're supposed to do that in our tree preservation statute too. So,
So was a permit issued?
Yes.
Okay, permit.
And again, the house they wanted to build would have left the trees, except for the water oaks. So when that was denied, they went back and drew more plans up, and without any variances, these trees dead in the middle of the lot. You know, again, you can't stop somebody from building on their property. You try to preserve everything you got, and they do. They take the steps to do it. And they mitigate it out, yes, and it's gonna be a lot bigger than what you thought. There could be 100-gallon trees that they're replacing, 2 or 3 of them on that property, and also 2 or 3 to the city as well to plant wherever we see fit. So, the thing is, yeah, nobody wants to cut live oaks and everything, but sometimes a person has a right on their property to build, and that's what this situation was here. Again, they asked for a variance, it was denied. If they'd have got the variance, they would have been able to build around the 2 live oaks that's sitting pretty much dead in the middle of their property.
I don't recall it. I guess I just don't recall that application. I thought they were still having to take those trees out to build those.
They was gonna
I don't
remove
recall
the water oaks.
Okay.
we don't have a problem with water oak.
No.
No, nobody
But
does.
again,
Those things are
it's
dangerous.
one of those things. And usually if they see a tree, so a lot of people, oh, the tree's dead and this and that, they'll call Mr. John Adams, and he'll go out there and he'll check them and everything, and a lot of it's on his recommendation as well, when trees are removed. But they've been very tight on this ordinance when people have, they've caught them without permits removing these trees and all. They've been getting trees to replace them, and it's not little twigs or anything. It's, it's 45 or 100-gallon trees is what they making them replace with.
But I think as a council we've had this discussion, and I think we do need to get something to where there's more of a ramification financially and a penalty if you do
Well,
illegally cut down.
they're trying to put together an ordinance, I think it's Biloxi,
Yeah, I saw that.
that they have to where it's the size of the tree is what the value is, and then you do your replacement cost based on that.
Yes, and my whole thing was, all of a sudden, we didn't know about it. The neighbors thought, okay, we're good, we're saving the trees, and then bammo, we get out there, and for it to be on Arbor Day, my hair was on fire that day, I swear.
Yes, ma'am.
I was so upset about it.
Look.
So anyhow,
I understand.
thank you
Yes,
for
ma'am.
listening to me, but
No
we really
problem.
need to enforce our tree preservation ordinance, and that was my question. Did the tree advisor even go out there and take a look-see, or did we just let the building guy do it?
No.
That's my problem. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all listening.
No problem. Thank you. Mr. Lonnie Falco?
Lonnie Fogel with Alice
Mosley Museum. I'd first like to commend y'all for honoring Eddie today. Josh, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very noble. Gentlemen, I heard the conversation before. Mr. Seal, thank you for addressing this elevator issue. Mike, we've addressed this issue. I'd like to share some data with you. I had the pleasure this morning of having a very long conversation with Mackenzie Northerton, the new tourism administrator that will be coming in. My people have met with her. We've had the opportunity to address some wonderful things. And the conversation went back over and over and over again. What are we gonna do about this? And I had a conversation at Mr. Fall's funeral, I said with Mr. John Ferrucci, and the conversation came up, what are we gonna do about the telephone? I've sent email, sent text message, spoke to Ms. Teresa. Let me just share this for you. Today, the mayor said they would add it at city. Today, they were. This elevator has been broken 91, and this is documented, 91 out of the last 99. We used to go in there, the elevator people saying, hey, go over here and reset this thing. Which Mr. Vanny said, no, somebody's gonna get hurt. So Mr. Vanny put out an order, do not reset this. So we quit resetting. So if we quit resetting it, we can't use it. You put 3 or 4 people in it, this thing starts, the hydraulic oil, you can smell it. Being someone that has been around that industry, that elevator is burning up. Well, let's go on. We had a bus today, first bus this year, 53 people. 11 of them could climb the stairs. We averaged $211, which I stated last meeting, that we average with buses. We did $16. We had this new director coming in. I had the opportunity to talk to Rachel Knight 30 minutes before I walked in this door. President of Tourism, all excited about Mackenzie. We have a meeting scheduled next week. We got a whole bunch of plans. The conversation turned, what are we gonna do about this elevator? David Hilbert today, had a meeting with them today. What are we gonna do? Gentlemen, y'all, we're sitting here and Mr. Reed, this is your district, and I echo what you just said, because I sat there from 213 to 217 and we couldn't buy garbage back. We couldn't pay our garbage back. We're sitting here with a city that y'all have taken and brought up, all of y'all, including the mayor, all of y'all. This is good, but we're losing focus. This isn't about Alice Mosley Museum. This isn't about the Mardi Gras Museum. You're sitting on the only icon that Bay St. Louis has, and that is the L&N Railroad building that was built in 1863. It caught on fire, and the mayor is right. That elevator was put in there in 1949. Your elevator people has told my people, quit touching this, because y'all could get shot. So Myrna and I both put out a memorandum last week, do not reset this elevator. So hence, we're without an elevator. Okay, I can understand 1 day, 2 days, 3rd day. We're on 99 days today, gentlemen. 99. Couldn't do any business with tour bus. And please call Miss Myrna before she leaves next week. My conversation and meeting with Miss Myrna and Mr. Richard on a Sunday at the depot, she's packing her stuff. Diamond Tour, Montgomery Tour, Melbourne Tour are now starting to retreat these buses. We have Union Pacific Railroad coming in on March 21st with not 1, not 2, but 3 groups of retired people with 53 passengers. Cancel. Cancel. We just turned away 500 visitors in 1 day. Diamond Tours has a bus coming in there on April 24th. Cancel. Check from Ms. Murphy. Cancel today. Because we can't give them definitive. Now, I understand elevator. I've been around that building 17 years. I understand. We understand doors cracking. We own a resurgence of redoing this building. But the biggest commodity we have is we're all breaking the law. And every one of y'all know this, especially Doug, you deal with this. We can't get people upstairs. We're in violation of ADA. We've had reports sent in on us. We've had fines levied in the past administration because this elevator keeps breaking. We're sitting there getting ready to put a pickleball court in, which is something that was asked for a year and a half ago. We're spending $100,000. Wonderful. But you're gonna tell me we can't find out? Now, from the mouth of babes, the elevator foreman 2 weeks ago, when we were told not to talk to him, he stood there and instructed my girls and Myrna's people, this elevator is a hazard. It's gonna be a problem when it collapses. Y'all may be shut down, because if it cracks the wall and this elevator goes down, y'all may not be able to use this building for 6 months, 'cause then you gotta get in there and repair antique walls. Told I spoke to every one of y'all, sent y'all an email. It may not be important, but it is to what we're trying to do down there. Gentlemen, take pictures out and see what happened at that depot 6 years ago, Mr. Reed. It was a ghost town. Depot district renovation, building renovation, car shows, Mopar, every business. I just left Mr. Thomas Jenny back behind his building, and he is pouring a beautiful patio behind his building to accommodate more people. Please don't take this as Lonnie preaching to the choir. Y'all are sitting on the biggest tourist attraction y'all have, and it's not Alice Mosby. It's not the Mardi Gras Museum. Y'all own the Ellen N. Railroad, which is the oldest railroad station in the state of Mississippi, and y'all doing nothing about it. We talked about this. I got emails going back that's 6 weeks old. 6 weeks. Only person that has addressed this is Mr. Reese.
That's not true.
And I think that.
Elevator people have been out there numerous times. We'll pull the receipts and everything, invoices on that. They've been there numerous of times addressing this, looking into this situation. See, nothing has been done. It's not true at all.
I didn't say that, Mike.
You just said it.
I talked about purchasing another one, Mike. You cut me off saying this is what.
Well, you
I never said
stated that nothing's been done.
Nothing has been done to
So,
rectify the
so
problem.
again, you know, we're looking into it. Ronnie shut it down to stop exactly what you said from happening, you know, to shut it down, do not use it for safety reasons. You know, that's the reason it's down. Now, can we go over there overnight and fix it? It doesn't seem to be that's gonna be the answer. The answer's gonna be is to find out what it is, find a replacement, or completely rebuild that one, or put a new one in. That's not gonna happen tomorrow, no matter what.
And
You know, but again, something is being looked at and done. You know, as far as ADA accessibility upstairs, I don't know what we can do, but keep resetting it and putting people in harm's way there, you know, for safety and all is not the answer,
why don't we,
you know.
let me ask you a question. Can we not reconfigure the way the depot's set up and put the costumes upstairs and put Alice Mosley into it?
Well, you got people that goes up
I mean,
there.
I'm just saying.
Do away with the upstairs and if nothing else, and put them downstairs in the garage.
I mean,
part.
cause even if we
I don't
approved
know.
100,000 today, it's not gonna be built for 6 months to a year.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know,
it's just not gonna
the
be overnight.
long-term answer, you know, is that. But, you know, there's been a lot of money spent, not just on that elevator. Again, look at the parking garage elevator. There's a lot of money spent on that throughout town. It's real new compared to this thing, you know. So again, you know, I don't know what the answer is tonight, but it is being looked at. People are, you know, coming in to look at it and give us, you know, their best case scenario.
May I continue, Mr. DeSalvo?
Yes, sir, yeah.
First of all, I didn't say that nothing's being done. Second of all, I'm not gonna sit here and attack anybody. Number three is, I just finished stating, and we can read it back, that we've been talking about this for 99 days. That's my point that I made. I never said doing anything.
You
This
kinda-
is just going off the record. The record is what can we do? When I stood up here and said, hey, let's look for a solution, we can read that back too. No one is talking about things not being done. Things are being asked, what can we do? Have we got prices? Have we got it? No, he's right. I'm not gonna argue with him like he wants to argue. The thing
I'm
is,
not
this
arguing, I'm
elevator
just stating
company,
facts.
Hold
the
on,
elevator company has been here 27 times. These people are wonderful.
And I think
They
that
want-
shows that this council has not denied, because you did kind of insinuate we haven't done nothing, Mr. Falgout. We've never denied the bill. We've approved everything that's come through, any work order that's come through, everything that's hit this desk, this council has approved it to be fixed, and we paid every bill. They've called them every time. Now, to go to instead of needing a new one, this is kind of the first we heard tonight of possibility of
That's
needing
my
a new
point.
one.
There's my point, Mr.
Is
President. That's the only
that,
point I
so-
made in the emails to y'all was,
Yes. I
what do
mean,
y'all know about this and what we can do? I'm well aware, and Mr. the Mayor knows this too. Y'all are the ones with the purse string. I'm just asking y'all, are y'all aware? You said, we just hearing about this. That's fine.
whole
We're not
new elevator.
questioning what's going on. We're questioning what can be the solution.
Yeah,
That's what we
Oh,
came
yeah.
up here
I
for
think the
tonight.
solution is from when they came in a few weeks ago and spent $2,500. The other alternative was to spend $80,000. Now, I'm not even sure what that $80,000 would have been for, again.
Can we get a quote on for retrofit? Cause they retrofit the elevators, what they do.
Right.
They come in and take the cage
And
and,
that's what
yeah, can we
Ronnie
get a-
has them come in to see if there's something. Is it blowing out oil or something? But we got regular maintenance done on these elevators. I would hope if it's, a busted line or something that's
Right.
causing it, it would be seen. I have not seen all, I don't know if it would leak inside of it or whatever. I hadn't gotten up in the shaft and looked down in it or anything. But again, today when we was there, we ran it up and down and all, trying to get it to fault, so, it'd be faulted when they come in and again. But, as far as replacement, every time we do something, that is a fix, just like the parking garage. We fixed it, we spent a lot of money on that thing. It's 10 years old, 12 years old,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I don't know what's worse, elevators or air conditioning, with the money we spent on these. And for whatever reason, we have no luck in either one.
yeah.
And yeah, we can
Mr.
keep
Rizzo
sinking
has
money
been wonderful
in
in
it
keeping
or
us
whatever.
apprised.
Can
Mr.
we,
Rizzo and I talked 2 weeks ago, and he said he had a price for $94,000. Mr. Salvo, my point is that no one said you're not doing anything. Mr. Rizzo told me 2 weeks ago, I got a price for $94,000, didn't you, Michael?
I said 80,000.
80,000, thank you.
Is that
So
for a new
obviously-
elevator? Or
Yeah, well,
So-
yeah, I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
It's what they told when they came in with that repair, when they replaced the board, they wasn't sure if the board was the main problem or not, so we spent $2,500 to replace his board that was bad. Whether that was the complete failure of it or not, I don't know, but since then, we've had more and more, and when they was in there working, when they took that off the wall and unhooked it and all that fire alarm, all that's linked into it now. So now, I guess they need to come out and do a full thing on it to see what's, throwing the breaker, that it has to be reset all the time.
And Mr. Seal, you said, what do they do to the elevators?
They
They-
just retrofit them.
they retrofit the control panels and the cabs.
And they make them work like a new elevator?
Yeah, well, I mean, cause basically you got door limit switches and after they open up a million times, right, all that's loose, they got chains, counterweighted chains. I mean, unfortunately, I've spent a ton of money. I've spent $500,000 last year on my elevator. They just wear out, right?
Well, that's
And
what the
so-
gentleman said,
So when you
though.
have to, we reset our elevator cause the door trips, right? Cause you got a motor that opens the door. If the motor don't open the door right, don't hit the limit switch, the motor stays on, gets hot, trips out the breaker.
And that's
So
when
you-
you
so
get
you
the smell,
reset it.
Doug.
Yeah, and
That's when you get the
so-
smell.
They can't come in and retrofit new door panels, new counterweights, new chains. Control panels is one of the bigger things that we're doing. Right now, we're spending $250,000 on just a retrofit of our existing elevator, and that's why I ask if we can get a scope of work, cause I know Kone is doing ours. I don't know, there's a couple other elevator companies, around that will do a retrofits on these. Maybe we can do an RFQ, RFP, whatever, to ask those companies to come in and give us a quote on, what needs to be done and what's the cost-effective means to get this thing kick-started again. for
And
a
this
few more
elevator
years.
company, Doug, has been wonderful. Again, it's not about the location, and I'll address Mr. Salvo. The problem is not who's located where. The problem is the compassion I have and what we have at this building, the wonderful tourist attraction that y'all on. That's all we're asking for.
Yeah.
Do we need to,
So,
do we need to go ahead and get this elevator retrofitted, or do we need to make a motion to make it go forward? Or
so you got a price to retrofit it?
No,
No,
this is just, them can't come in,
Right, we need
you
a
know,
price.
and what we're looking at for a price. When they come back, they'll give their recommendation, to see what needs to be done.
our service company is Standard. Standard basically went in, has been up multiple times, like the mayor said. And this was about the same time Hopkins was starting construction. And they basically said, look, we can do 2,500, and we think we can do this, and that would probably get us operational, but more of a retrofit kind of thing is gonna be that 80,000 range. So
That's
why I said we
budgetary.
gotta at least spend the 2,500, get it operational, they're starting construction.
I'll give you,
It's not there. So I mean,
I'll send y'all,
it's gonna probably need a retrofit. I mean,
Yeah,
that's where we're
I'll-
headed.
I'll send you
Nope.
Kone's information tomorrow, and you can reach out to Mobile and maybe get them to come over here and I don't know, Smith, do we need to go out for an RFQ, whatever the hell,
Try to do
to,
Yeah.
for bids,
Get a
huh?
scope of
Request
work
for
and
proposals.
everything.
Ultimately
if-
be a bid, and depending on how much it ends up being, you could have to have an engineer involved too, if it reaches the $100,000
so
threshold.
what's the first step that we need to do? I mean, can we get a couple companies, Standard and Kone, I know would be two companies that would give us quotes. How do we get a quote?
I mean, that's usually
quickest
what
way.
you do, is you don't really get a written quote, you just talk to companies saying, what are we looking at here? And then you have to write specs cause that would be considered construction, so you'd have to write sealed bid specs
Okay.
and put it out for bid.
So we get those, I'll get that information to you, and they can come over, and Standard can give us a quote, Kone can give us a quote, and then from there, 2 quotes, we can write a bid spec and then advertise.
I mean, that's, yeah.
There's only 4 companies. The gentleman told us with Ronnie that. It's only 4 companies that
Yeah, it's not a
do
whole lot
this.
to do this.
And it may be what Ms. Smith's saying, you just gotta find the people that can do it. Your elevator company actually told us that, hey, we don't do, we need to go elsewhere. So, I mean, this is a search in let's get information request.
Okay.
And I appreciate y'all.
Yes,
time.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Reed, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Next up, project updates. Here's report.
Good evening. We have a couple of motions tonight, 3 motions, I believe, for the board to consider. So the first one is, motion to recommend advertising the pickleball court construction to Moran Hauling. You should have a bid tabulation in our report. We did receive 3 bids. One was not properly marked. We were not able to open that one. And the second bid was around $165,000, I believe. So we did discuss the project with Moran Hauling. They are using a certified 166 was the second bid by Hopkins. So they are using a court contractor to do the court portion of it. They'll do the site work, probably actually pour the concrete, but as far as the post-tension slab design and the installation of the tendons, they're gonna sub that out to a court contractor. So we felt comfortable to make a recommendation to award it to Moran Hall.
How many pickleball courts is it gonna be?
2.
2 of them, okay.
So what's included in this, the pickleball courts, the surfacing, striping, and the nets, and then everything else would be later on. Fencing and lighting, we can do,
Mississippi Power for the lighting to come in, similar to what they did in the, parking garage up there, you know, put the black poles or metal poles up tall enough, you know, with their lights and all, and go that way for lighting on that.
On, Jason, on his contract, this is not a normal contract that you normally present. You have a cost plus fee basis on this? It says the work performed on a cost plus fee basis? So, why is that in there?
Which
Is
contract?
it the price of 115?
On the Moran Hauling?
Yeah, the notice of the award, it says, including but not limited to those governing charges, unit price work and work performed on a cost plus fee basis as applicable. What's that mean?
No, let's see.
So in other words, if they find out something and they're gonna add cost to it?
Or is that if something's added?
That's the way I do it.
I mean, I'd scratch that.
What is it, Jeff?
Yeah, it's got unit price work and work performed on a cost plus fee basis. That's just standard language in that EJCDC document. If we need to strike that. we
I'd
can
strike it,
that.
because now they can go find, so, oh, hey, you know what, it's gonna cost this, you know?
Oh, we still have to come back to the council.
Well, that's what I want. I don't want them to just go ahead and do something
Yeah.
without,
No,
you know.
if anything changed, would have to come.
Yeah, they're bound by their unit price contract that they, for the unit price bid that they submitted. But we can strike that from that notice of award, just to clarify it.
So,
We're looking to pay for this with the 2020 go bond.
Correct.
It's under consent agenda.
That's what we,
Correct, that's what's been discussed, so I just wanted to clarify that, put that in there, that way it's an official action of the council.
so with the 2020 go bond, what we have, 450-something thousand in there?
Yeah.
I was just looking at it.
450,556.
Okay. So after we pay for this, we'll still have,
We have air conditioning money for the police, fire department.
Fire department's AC.
and
hopefully
we'll work with something else too. Yeah, all right. So, second.
motion by Mr. Seal, second by
Did y'all
Mr.
put a
Reed.
clause in there striking that?
Yeah, and we're striking that, cost
Cost
plus.
plus. And that was in the notice of award letter.
Okay.
Yes, okay. All right, any further discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye, Pass 7-0, thank you. 6-0, I'm sorry.
Notice to proceed.
Notice of award.
Well, we'll issue the notice of award, then we have to require, schedule a pre-construction conference, get their design for the post-tension slab, so we'll have all that sometime in March, probably, once we get all the documentation.
How long do you think it'll take before once, everything's approved, the whole weather according, I mean?
Yeah, so the slab, according to the pickleball standards, the slab has to cure for 45 days once they pour it. They'll have to come in, actually a couple days after
Keep
they
you
pour.
off of it.
45
Don't
days.
you be sneaking over there.
Wow.
And that's to stripe it, to do all the surfacing
Oh,
with the
yeah.
You gotta
acrylic
write a
paint.
name in it.
It'll have to sit for a few
Oh, we're
days
gonna
before
put
they
a
come in and do
handprint
the
on it.
post-tensioning, so. We gave them about 120 days. I don't think it's gonna take that long, but just to have enough time to work everything in.
Okay.
All right, good deal, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The next item we have is a motion to advertise for construction bids to sunset the Dunbar Sewer Improvements Project. This is a $1 million plus grant project. I believe it's a Go Mesa project.
Yep.
We do not have final DEQ approval. We wanted to put this on the board agenda tonight because we have a deadline of June of this year to have the project completed. So we're anticipating getting the final comments, and then we can advertise at that point. So we wanted to go ahead and get this from the council, and then that way we can proceed once we get the final comment.
How much did the county pledge on this one?
Nothing on this.
Nothing.
They
It's all
pledged on
city.
Sienna Lane coming up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
on the wrong one.
Yeah, so this is not with the ARPA money. This is,
This is a different grant from
Yeah,
DEQ.
it's the overflow. That's a motion.
Motion, Mr. Seal,
Four-year project.
Second.
second, Mr. Hoffman. Any further discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
all right.
Aye, passes 6-0, thank you.
All right, thank you. The final motion is for the Sienna Lane project. This is a drainage improvement project near Sienna Lane. That actually is Main Drain 28, that I think we've been talking about
28
since
years.
2015 or 2016.
All right.
This is the one the county pledged up to $250,000. Our estimate is about $450,000 for the improvements. It does include main drain cleaning, debris removal, some culvert repair on Benigno and some of those side streets, and then some ditch improvements in that area.
I got some relocation efforts for the beavers.
Those have been addressed.
They've been working on them pretty good.
One at a time.
So
Motion.
this one, we have the permit, we have, the county's commitment to their portion, so we're ready to bid this one out.
Where are we funding this from?
That was my question.
County's 250,000 plus what?
General fund, municipal reserve.
The municipal
Okay.
reserve.
I mean, there's no other special grant or anything for this.
No.
So,
All right, motion.
motion.
Wait, you're funding it from where?
There's no special grant. The only money we have coming for this is the county money. So this will come out either on municipal reserve, cash,
General fund.
but there's no other grant money that we're pursuing or,
So you're gonna
Pledge.
take it out of the emergency cash reserve?
no, I
No.
didn't say that.
No, which one you say?
I said municipal reserve. But again,
Special?
once we get a bid and everything else, then I would put that for y'all and say, how do you wanna pay
fund
for it?
So you're talking about reimbursement from the police department money?
No.
If, yeah,
Think
Possibly, yes.
Possibly,
But
yeah.
You
once
talk
that
about
money gets
municipal
put,
reserve
Yeah.
fund?
yeah, so once money gets put back into those funds, then y'all can decide.
So
yes, that's
you're
what we're gonna
talking
take.
about
But we don't have
fund
any
number
grant money
5.
for this.
005.
005, okay, yeah, you got 300,000 in there.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, yeah, and by that time that comes, we'll have,
was that
other in
left
there.
over from the,
Police department.
yeah, police department.
Okay.
Now, council could also think that, your sales tax diversion off of internet sales,
Yeah.
that's
Got like
infrastructure
Road
as
and
well.
bridge, just
What about
get
road and
replaced.
bridge, does that count on ditches and stuff?
I'd
You
wanna,
got
I'd wanna
700,
inquire on that.
800,000.
I think,
This particular project with road and bridge money,
Yeah, I would wanna check that one before I say road and bridge.
that would be
But,
pushing it.
but the internet sales tax is infrastructure. Drainage would be infrastructure.
What would you say,
Let's-
Ms. Smith?
Let's take it out of that.
Yeah. Ms. Smith, what were you saying about
We're not funding it right now.
taking it out of that?
I would say do not take it out of road and bridge, to take it out of your sales tax diversion.
Oh, okay.
I don't get warm and
That's what I
fuzzy
thought
on
you said.
road and bridge.
County sends it to us, then we got
Sales
that's your
tax.
back.
we can see when, once we go out and everything, get a bid and everything, see what we.
So,
decide
Mr.
what we
Reed,
want.
We got the motion on that.
I made a
$250,000 we
motion.
get from the county.
Alright, do I have a second?
We'll-
Mr. Seal made a second. And do you have to specify what fund tonight?
That's modernization.
not it.
tax.
Not now.
We don't have to
Yes, not
tonight,
it,
but
not
we
it.
will,
This is yours advertising.
Okay.
before we award.
When
that
you
to y'all,
award it,
I would get y'all
yeah.
to tell me where to take it.
And that's just gonna be the, whatever the difference is between the actual cost and the $250 we getting from the county, so.
Correct.
Well, 50/50,
It's
so,
50/50 for the county, so it's up to 250.
yeah,
Okay.
we
What
might
they've
not get
committed.
all
Gotcha.
250.
So if it's a $400,000 project, they'll give us
We put
200,
it
we got it
on
for
200.
200.
And this would also be a reimbursement even with the county. They're usually very quick turnarounds, but just know that it's a reimbursement process.
Okay. Okay.
And what can we use that CapEx fund for?
If I remember correctly, it's infrastructure. isn't
Infrastructure.
it?
I'm fixing to submit a project soon. I got a bunch of culverts on roads bad in my ward that ditches are holding water so bad, mosquitoes are so bad. I talked to the mayor and Ronnie briefly about going look at it and.
Well, you can use road and bridge for that.
Yes, that too.
I think Ronnie putting together a list of some culverts for us to
Yes.
look at funding.
So, a lot of the drainage improvements still need to be done. All these main drains will be fixed, but the other drains have to get to them.
That's
to
also
make
good,
one of the,
okay.
So,
projects waiting on too, isn't it, Jason?
Let's,
Culvert
finish voting this
replacement?
motion.
Well, that's
And
a-
updates on our ditches?
That's
Yes.
hazard mitigation.
The hazard mitigation project that, the
We've
$2 million
submitted.
application's been submitted. We're just waiting on MEMA to give us a final
good,
approval.
good deal.
And what we would do, just go throughout the city and identify culverts that need to be replaced. and-
Primarily, yeah. I mean, 2 million's not gonna get you a whole lot of construction citywide, so you'd have to identify where the worst areas are and start
Main
working on
areas
those.
and all
But I
that.
think we've already done that, Jason, haven't we? I mean, I know.
Not throughout the whole city. I
Right,
mean, we looked at
just
Ward
specific-
4
yeah.
pretty hard, but
Yeah.
not really in any other areas.
Yes, okay.
So
And
that's,
that would involve modeling the what's the H&H study?
H and
Is that
H,
the term?
yeah. You have to do an H&H study to
Where it
determine
tells you
what
if things are
culverts are
undersized or failed.
undersized and need to be upsized. What it does, I mean, it'll build your program, just like we did with the ARPA stuff. You go in and you make the design and you have those projects, and then you have almost a shovel-ready job that you can go after, go Mesa Restore project with, so that's kind of the intent of that grant, if it's ever approved from MEMA.
Well, let's get together soon. on
Yeah.
that. All right. Have a motion by Mr. Reed, second by Mr. Seal. Vote the motion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 6-0.
All right, thank you. Those are the three motions that we were looking for tonight. We did have two discussion items on our report, just to continue the conversation. The first one is the Hurricane Zeta Harbor repairs. If you recall, we took bids on this project in October. November 29th, we took bids. Only received one bid. This was for the south wall in the parking lot to repair it. There's the wave screen underneath the end of the rudder pier, that's broken, a lot of handrails and things like that. The total bid, we only received one bid, and that total bid was $3.6 million. FEMA's cost estimate was about a little less than $1 million for that. So
Something's off.
That's out the water.
we turned in all the information, documentation to FEMA and asked them to adjust their cost. We've discussed this with DCMC several times, so I don't know if y'all want to chime in on those conversations. You know, the feedback that we received, we reached out to the senators' offices, they reached out to FEMA. Everything that they've been telling us is, if you follow the scope of work, if you follow the procurement guidelines, you know, then FEMA will adjust the cost at closeout. They're still reviewing everything. We haven't received any official response from FEMA yet that I've seen. But that's, you know, that's where we're going. We do have, for this one, we had the bids, the contractor had to hold his bids for 120 days, so we still have some time on that. And then they can always extend those if, you know, we request if it runs over that.
How's the current work coming that we got the $2 million loan for that we have to finish to get reimbursed?
That's part of this.
Part of
That's
this.
part
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah, this
This
would
and
fall
the
under that.
dredging,
Oh.
this, the dredging,
Okay.
the wall at the end, the wave action, you know, wall, all
So
that.
we're never gonna finish this.
So we borrowed the 1.8 million, right?
Right.
Right.
To do the $3 million project. I mean, it's what it turned
Well,
out.
that's
I mean,
what-
Well,
really,
the estimate at the
That's
time,
what it
yeah,
turned out to be,
Total was
right?
1.8 is what
Yeah.
the FEMA cost estimate was.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the original cost estimate is significantly lower
Right.
than the
That's
bid
what
that came
Waveland
in.
had on the
The
pier,
same
right?
thing, I'm sure he's
Same.
talking about Ida Roof.
Same thing on the
exact
pier.
thing with the pier down there in Waveland.
Yeah.
So, I guess till we get some kind of confirmation in writing, maybe of that, kind of be,
No, you're gonna have a bigger problem,
To
because you're
move
gonna have to
forward
pay back
before we-
that loan.
the Before we do it,
and we're
based on
basing that
$6 million
loan
kind of hope we
on
get it
being
done.
reimbursed
So
on it,
that's,
Correct.
finishing the work, you got a problem.
Couple $1 million extra we need to come up to get for cash flow.
Well, if we can get it turned over quickly, which is gonna be the thing. They said they would reimburse as we go. We don't have to finish the project. Some of it with FEMA, we was told before, you gotta finish the project. But since then, they've stated, I think in this situation, we don't have to finish the project. They can make reimbursements as we go. So,
Yes, the key is that they're gonna reimburse us to up to 3.2 or 3.6. That would be the,
so what we're being told basically is that if the scope of work followed their worksheet, then they will adjust it, close out to the full pay.
So if we start it, we don't take
So
no
that
change
there's-
orders, huh?
You know, the gut makes
find
me very
something in-
nervous. But,
yeah,
$1
we
million.
talked about
but
an
they're also
extra-
pushing us saying, y'all should be moving this project, you should move into the project. We're like, what is the guarantee that we're gonna
Right.
get the full amount compared to what was originally put in your project worksheet?
Right.
And it's the same conversation for probably your next one,
for the
you're
next-
Yeah,
right
both of
going
these.
Same
into,
thing on the next one with
CBST
the road.
next.
with the roads,
Yeah.
Ida roads.
Tell us asphalt them, probably be cheaper.
Yeah, the
And the-
Ida repairs
and
for the
better.
roads, we actually got two bids on that. This one was back in September of last year. The low bid, just on the base bid, was 3.5 million. Their FEMA's estimate was 1.5 million. I think part of it was the hazard mitigation that they included, is to put a pavement fabric down. It's just, there's more to, more construction required for that. You gotta put down leveling boards, you gotta do all kind of other stuff. So I think that's what's driving the cost up, but it was written into the scope and that's what was approved. So that's how we had to design it. In both cases, I feel like we followed the scope of work. I mean, if you look at our bid tab, it's a very long bid tab. We followed every single line item that they had, the PW that they identified for repairs. It's very easy to match with what they identified after the event for what was bid. But I think the question is, going forward with it, and wait till closeout for the cost to get you. Historically, and even I had a meeting with MEMA a couple of months ago, and even the finance director said the same thing. Historically, that's how they've done it, is they adjust it at closeout. But these are just such high bids that,
But I mean, I guess FEMA's got extra funds sitting there to say, hey, they overspent $4 million in Bay St. Louis because these two jobs was, our
think it-
estimate was 1.5, and they was both
Yeah.
2 million over budget projection, I mean,
They take it back on audit.
yeah, I mean.
So where you gonna get the money for that?
That'll be a different conversation. I mean, honestly,
It ain't gonna happen.
that's a big project list I've been
Well,
looking
that's
at,
front money
saying,
as
all right, where
well.
are we pulling
I
money?
think that's 95, isn't that, how much, what is the
they're
amount?
both 90%
Yeah,
federally funded. It's our portion.
reimbursed, so, we're looking at spending,
$1,000 only.
yeah,
Man,
on $3 million, whatever, 2 million.
You gotta front the money up front?
Yeah. And,
What's the reimbursement?
Oh, yeah, well, Jason, that takes years now. You gotta be reasonable. Where are you gonna get the $3 million to front it and then sit on it for 3 years to get paid back?
We do have a deadline on that one, and we're working with, Dana and I talked about it today, about requesting an extension for those, which really shouldn't be a big, we've done those in the past for other projects, but we do have a deadline of April this year to request that extension. So that's
on
what
which
we're working-
one, the wall,
The Ida, the Hurricane Ida fix.
the roads?
Road, yeah.
Roads, okay. Man, my
So
memory
you need $6
correct.
million.
My memory correct, we did all them roads for 800,000 when we did them in 2020, and now it's 3.5 to redo them.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't try to piecemeal this over 20 years and not make that bond when we did, because we would
Well,
buy
and-
nothing
and
today.
that's something-
Before we bought them prices at that time.
I don't think, we looked at it before, I think before we looked at a line of credit, but I think there's also isn't there an obligation bond, Heather, or something on that order? You can get
Basically
to
like a
fund
grant
this, and then
anticipation.
just when you get reimbursed, you pay it,
You're talking about a grant anticipation
grant
note.
anticipation, on that.
So basically
you know,
your
an
collateral
opportunity,
is
you
the
know.
grant document.
If we don't have the funds, to front it, we can always look into that as well.
And they're generally short-term base notes that
And it,
geared toward this, and it's just a line of credit, so you're only paying interest on, what you're waiting to be reimbursed. So the idea is it just quickly resolves, and at the end of the day, you're not paying a lot of money.
So-
That's where most of my clients who have bid projects that come in that don't have substantial cash in the bank, what they will do.
I think if you can work on that sheet for us, you said you're working on
So
one.
what I've got right now is a list of all of our projects, and I'm basically, the top, row one is what's under construction. And it's identifying what's the total project cost, what's the grant amount, what's our local match, what's the grant name, and then also what pot of money, what fund do we have that can possibly be the source. So I'm going through that and also putting a timeline, so what is under construction, what is currently bidding, what is ready to award, and then what's down the line. 'Cause some of this, I mean, I think it's gonna be a juggle, I think, just for cash flow of when do projects bid? You know, that we've gotta watch. I know we've been talking about a little bit of that over the last 12 months, but we've got stuff coming, and especially these two big ones,
Yes.
you know, and then looking at the list of council, all right, are all these projects relevant? You know, so it's really a council decision. So right now, we're following and
Was the
going through, but hopefully we'll have that for you at next
Big
meeting.
part? Was the GeoGrid a big line item in there?
It was. See if I can pull that out quick.
You have that next meeting, you said?
You know, we was hoping they would just,
That
if
spreadsheet.
nothing else, give us the
Oh, yeah.
1.6 or
Geek
whatever,
Loafer.
and allow us to
Got
go
that list,
pave
don't
them
we? We got that list.
and all, and we just pay the difference, but they won't budge on
They
that
won't
neither.
do it?
Mm-mm.
They would give us, 600,000
'Cause
maybe.
I mean, I know limestone's went up some, I buy it, and emulsion might went up some, but I don't think nothing's went up 400%.
And it's that grid there that
I
they,
think it's the grid. It's mixed in. The way they broke the PW out was per street. And so the hazard mitigation is broken out the same way. I could get a total,
Yeah,
but I don't have it. Right.
okay, that's fine. Well,
it's pretty good bit of the bid though.
I think it was
Yeah.
probably close to $1 million or so.
Yeah.
just
for
for
that.
GeoGrid, huh?
It's not just rolling grid out. There's a
Yeah.
leveling course you gotta
Mhm.
put in, be sure that it has something to bind to. Then you gotta put the grid out, then you shape it, and you gotta come on top of that and do your DBS.
Paving be a whole lot easier, cheaper too.
And if we didn't include, if you say, let's just do it, not include the mitigation, well, then we'd have to start over with FEMA, because now we're changing the scope of the project. They've already approved it with that mitigation. So,
Have a good base, won't it?
Yeah.
So, okay.
that's all I had, unless you guys have any questions.
Well,
Can we borrow $4 million?
I was looking, Jason, at, the Byers Street and the Washington Street is getting very close, so you all did send the first publication out,
Yes, sir, bids in March,
the bids in March.
March 19th, maybe.
Okay, now, what is your estimation from the bid date, to the start date? Once, I mean, when we award the bid?
Yeah, I know,
Should be sometime this year.
Don't say that. It's-
When I'm in Dunbar Village, I can roll my wheelchair over there and take it.
Yeah, they both bid March 19th. So all this has to go back to MDOT to get approved, and it has to award a contract. It has to go to the commission to be approved, which I don't know if they meet monthly or if they meet quarterly. So I would probably say, we have to tell the contractors to hold their bids for 90 days to give MDOT enough time to go through their review and get it approved. So if we bid it in March, June, April, May, June, maybe July, be under construction, if we're
Okay.
lucky.
Now, do you already have the designs?
Yes, sir.
Could you leave a copy?
Yeah, we'll bring a copy, we'll bring a set here, and then I could bring it to City Hall too, in case somebody comes in City Hall.
Thank you.
All right. 603 turning lanes. I can't my report won't upload for some reason
Oh,
from,
Yeah,
okay.
mine won't either.
you guys won't either? It's not just me?
No,
Okay.
it's corrupted. Says it's corrupted.
Oh, yeah,
Might be my fault, how we submitted it.
Yeah,
okay,
Um,
maybe so.
So,
Mhm.
if you're gonna do a project like that, what's more important? To do the 603 project or to fix the streets in Ward 6? So, I mean, you're going on with project after project after project, and we need $6 million right now to fix the harbor and those streets they're talking about. So, y'all better think about what you're getting ready to vote on, because you ain't got the money for it, and now you're talking about they're talking about borrowing, paying interest on loans, interest only on loans, for tax,
But-
for
but
grant
if you-
anticipation?
You're looking at a match of 300,000
You're talking,
plus a little interest to get $3 million or $6 million. You know, is it worth $300,000 to spend to get $6 million worth of work? You know, so you weigh it out, you know, as far as the other projects go, you know, this is reimbursed money, 90% of it. The other is a 80
the problem is
match,
the
I think.
unknown, and when you get paid on it, if you're gonna get paid. That's the unknown.
That's right now correct.
And you're playing, you know, kinda Russian roulette with the budget, cause you're gonna have to pay that money. You're gonna come up short. Just needs to be talked about really hard before.
All of, you know, I mean, you know, we put in for projects, you know, they get approved to go in, we get funding, you know, there's still other sidewalks out there we're looking at funding. The 603, you know, that's, to me, is a huge project for the turning lanes from a safety issue and everything. I don't know why we don't have turning lanes besides a half a vehicle to get off.
Will it save the light poles?
No.
They-
We
those are-
plant an oak tree in front of, 4 oak trees around each light pole,
Those
let
are
it get
magnets.
used.
Yeah.
I don't know what we can do to save them.
Those are magnets.
I wish, I wish we could put ballots around them,
Is-
maybe, I don't know.
Is
dude.
that, I know y'all been working on that though,
Yeah.
turning lanes,
Yeah, so, we're working with MDOT. We've submitted a design variance.
okay.
Their minimum lane width is 12 feet, and I don't wanna do that there, cause it pushes it further out into the ditch, and
Yeah.
it's more expensive. So all the existing turn lanes are 10 feet wide, so we wanna match that. We had to submit a design variance to them. Once that's approved, then we should be able to finish up our design, and then we can come back to the council and see when y'all would wanna bid that.
Okay.
I will say, you know, kind of what you mentioned, Gary, we do represent other clients, and a lot of them have multiple grant-funded projects, and they're, you know, they've all looked at that line of credit or some type of a financing option to keep those projects moving. So you're not the only one that's trying to figure out how to.
There's so much
Keep
money
these
at one
projects
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You're not doing a small project, you're doing
Yeah.
tons of
Very
projects.
large
'Cause your
projects.
money's runs out.
Yeah, and that's what I always like to
Yes.
say here.
And then you throw a disaster on top of
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Then you,
right?
then
Yeah.
you're-
You don't know, right?
And that's what it's important to say. It's not a financial problem. It's not that you don't have the money. It's that you don't have the money to to spend that and spend millions of dollars and wait for it to be reimbursed. I feel like sometimes there's confusion as to, oh, the city doesn't have the money. Well, if y'all were sitting on, $30 million cash, we'd have other problems.
People want the taxes to be really lowered.
Exactly.
Cause we're
So it's-
charging too much.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so it's a cash flow problem, it's not a financial problem, there's a big difference there.
Big difference,
yeah. Cause we can't have that kind of money in the bank.
you know, and on that same note, you know, we're fortunate to have the matches on most, you know, on this and everything, and be able to fund as much of it as we have, you know, with the police department and different items as well.
Yeah.
You know, so we've been very fortunate on a lot.
And like I say, yeah,
Yeah,
it's growing pains.
yeah. Anything on the gas upgrades, from lead, copper, pipe surveys? I know MML last summer, I guess, they were talking about October 24 as
That's
a
the deadline.
date, a deadline, or is that a true? I don't know.
So that's the current deadline. We reached out to Department of Health this week to try to get an update.
Water line.
Water lines, yeah.
Yeah, water lines.
Okay. They have, they're waiting on their board to finalize the procedure to submit all this documentation. So, I have an email going out to all of our clients about this week, kind of giving an update. There is a ranking form that has been approved, the intended use plan. The funding that was applied for was for the evaluation to determine, that's what's due in October, is your evaluation. How many lead copper lines do we have?
Right.
What's it gonna cost to redo it? I don't know where Bay St. Louis fell on that list, but out of the top 4 that I think that we submitted, y'all were in the top 4 for forgiveness. So I think it was maybe $200,000 that we put in for the city to evaluate it. And I think about 100,000 of that was committed to be forgiven. All that will be in our email update when it comes back out. I say all that to say this, we still don't have the final guidance as far as what they're gonna require.
Okay,
So once we have that, then we'll be able to come back to all the cities and say, okay, this is what you have to do to move forward with it. Their meeting is actually on Friday, 23rd. They've had one in December canceled, one in January canceled. So now their meeting is this week, and hopefully we'll have another, for our update in March, we'll be able to tell you a little more about it.
And I know, Jason, we don't have a scope of what, but I would imagine some of those lead lines would have been replaced with Katrina. I mean, I know we'd have to really get in and.
So what you can do, yeah, a lot of them were, I mean, you have to look on both sides of the meter. A lot of houses were rebuilt after Katrina, but not all the service lines were reinstalled. So
Yeah.
you can whittle it down. I think after 1988 or something,
Yeah.
EPA outlawed lead pipes. So any permits that were issued after that for new construction,
Right,
you
you
can
can
pretty much throw
cross
those
it.
out.
Yeah.
We're just looking at kind of some of the old part of town.
Gotcha.
So I think we can get, you know, we don't have to go to every 4,000 houses or whatever, and
Yeah.
dig on each side of the meter. We can cut that down. So,
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, anything else?
No, it was just.
All right, Mr. Nietzsche, thank you, sir.
sure, thank you.
All right. Mr. Riso, City Clerk's Report. Item A, motion to approve Bay St. Louis docket of claims number 24-011 dated February 11th, 2024, in the amount of $406,328.80. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, it was a motion.
Motion, Mr. Seal. Do I have a second? Second, Mr.
Second.
Hoffman. I'm sorry. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd sent Mike some stuff. He never got back with me, but I know you've been busy. But like the senior center was $1,200 again this month.
Gas.
Gas, okay.
City Yard was gas. MLK Park, they found water left on in the bathrooms and the faucets running continuously.
Okay.
Um,
I just didn't know what those.
Yeah, they, you know, it was, I think,
Heat.
357, I don't know, somewhere around 350, usually around
Yep.
a lot less than that, but
$84,
they
yep.
finding out a lot of time where someone's just going in there, opening them up, leaving them running in there, and then the other two was gas.
Gas, okay,
you know,
that makes sense. All right, thank you. I'd sent it earlier and he was out of town
Yeah, I
working
sent,
and I
no, I
was,
sent, I asked him, I don't know, 2 o'clock today or something.
Yeah,
like
that's
that,
fine.
and did a reply.
that was all.
All right, any
Thank
further discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye, passes 6-0. Thank you. B, motion to approve Bay St. Louis docket of claims number 24-013 Lowe's dated February 20, 2024, in the amount of $55.24. Motion, Mr. Seal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Was that Mr. Reed?
Mhm.
All right, second, Mr. Reed. Any further discussion? Vote to motion?
Aye.
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 Aye, passes 6-0. Thank you. Up next, consent agenda items A through U.
I think we gotta take, the pickleball court out, right? We already voted on that one.
No, that's the fun.
That's
It's
strictly
the
just
funding.
asking for the funding to come out of the bond money,
Funding, yes.
just to have y'all take action on it.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Seal, second Hoffman. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just had something very minor.
Okay.
It's just related to the motion, on the, department fee schedule. It's, packet page 57. I think it's just a simple change we need to make verbiage wise. It's the fence is structural for under 100 linear feet. And then
Yeah,
below it, it's
same
the
one.
same one.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit of an anomaly because it looks like it's, C structural fence, so it's 125. It's currently at 135, so that would put fence structure for over 100 linear feet. I mean, we would just be going down on it. I think we've gone up on everything else, but like I said, it's a simple verbiage change, but a little bit of an outlier on what the fee schedule is on some of these other items.
The only thing I'd like to see is, get an answer on why the 2 million reimbursement was taken out of cash balances. And where did the 37,000 go that was in that same fund? It was taken out, but it doesn't say where it went.
Are you referring to the cash balance report or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So last cash balances we had, we had $37,024.47. Expected reimbursements, $2,337,024.47. Even that has disappeared.
Yeah. Get us an answer on that, Mr. Riso.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Do you you have the changes for the building department fees
So,
noted?
no, I didn't, I missed that, but I wanted to go back and make sure I understood. We're under fence, and it says under 100 linear feet, and then fence over 100 linear feet.
It go a little bit under that, it's just that
Structural.
structural.
Structural one, it says the same.
Just needs to be, I'm assuming the second one's gonna be over.
Correct,
And
okay.
that's, and it goes from 135 to 125.
Correct, and this is a question, I think Doug had sent me on dealing with the fences. What we're trying to do there is make it simpler, so that, especially if we ever get to like an online application process, permitting, where you want a fence permit, if it's a structural fence or a non-structural fence, also designed on how much time does it take our staff when it goes for inspections, things like that. The structural takes takes more, so there's a little bit of difference in cost. But trying to just get it down to where it's 2 line items, not 4.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, passes 6-0. Thank you. Minutes approval.
Motion, no changes.
Hey, do you have the minutes?
Good job, Mike. Riso did those, huh?
I don't get any credit on that.
They do the agenda.
I'm just happy I survived on
Do you have the
the
minutes first?
drafting an agenda. Minimal
Got the
error.
minutes to sign?
Motion for,
Do you have the minutes
to
first to
sign?
sign?
city council. They're right here. I'm sorry. Didn't even see them sitting there. For the first regular meeting, February 6, 2024. Mr. Seal made the motion. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Hoffman. Vote to motion.
Aye.
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 Aye, passes 6-0. Thank you.
You know what,
Meeting,
Josh?
next
This
meeting,
your last
March
meeting?
5th. What's that? Oh, yeah. March 5th meeting, that's just for. Yeah. Oh, just
We'll-
scratch that?
We'll
Okay.
approve the minutes for next meeting on March 5th.
Yeah, before we had a meeting?
All right, I made one mistake.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Smith, you have anything?
Looking to do a redistricting, you guys, a workshop on March 28th. So everybody look at that date and see if it works for you. I'm waiting to hear back to make sure that the mapper's available. But I did want to just get all of you to check your schedules in case you have a conflict and could not be there.
I think that's the day I got married on.
No better way to spend your anniversary.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
What was that date you said?
March 28th.
3/28.
I should be fine.
Yep, should be fine.
And that would just
Yes,
be a
Where are we
workshop
at with
meeting.
the harbor?
tomorrow.
With the
Suit with the harbor.
litigation. Trying to think of the basic thing to say publicly. So you got your updated estimates from the, or the report, and that has been sent to the mediator, and the mediator was reaching back out to, your companies involved. And so it's just waiting on that, and then there will probably be, they've been going back and forth to try to set a date for arbitration. Cause it's divided, so your arbitration will be with your, engineers and your architects, and then the contractors are out on their own. And anything else I would tell you not to talk about
And-
publicly.
I would also just comment that Moffett provided us a report you requested. I think I had a meeting with them a week ago. It's been-
Sounds about right.
And they're supposed to, basically, we're gonna break it down. We've gotta, if we wanna go out and fix the whole problem number, that I think is what you shared. But also, if we wanted to break that down to say, all right, let's do some targeted areas, because, you know, we don't have 2.1 million just sitting around. If we wanted to try to attack it in phases, what could be a proposal? So I've talked to
they
them
came
about
back with
coming to
2
y'all, about
2.1
2.1 estimate.
Million plus the 3 for the south
Yeah.
wall?
Total
The south
separate,
wall is
separate
totally
project.
separate.
It's the
totally
settling
different.
part.
This
Just the
is
settling
the
part.
FEMA project,
Yep.
this is the settlement, along the east wall,
So
east side of the parking lot.
I've talked to them about coming to present their report and options to the council. So
Okay.
I'm in that
When they
dialogue
coming?
right now. That's what I'm in dialogue with them
Okay,
about
cool.
scheduling that.
All right.
And so either doing that as a workshop or doing it, it's just part of this meeting. So we'll just
Good.
get with y'all on that.
I have one other question.
Mr. Lewis, yes, sir.
Ms. Smith, I know a couple months back, we just talked about the monthly subject report. Any update of when that can be received on the subject?
That's again something we need to talk to the administration with. Are you talking about my billing?
Correct. What, the
And-
similar report, what was given when it was hourly, now it's retained under the retainer, but just what is the subject matter of what was previously received?
Well, again, that's not the way that I bill. I think I gave you to show you what what I do put. It's block billing. And again, if you want me to go calculate every point 1, point 2, we're gonna have to look at restructuring a fee agreement because that's just very complicated, and that's part of the reason why I agreed to switch over to a retainer, so I did not have to keep point 1s, point 2s, point 3s.
So we'd have to pay for
But
a
then
second.
again, we don't get information on what's out there.
But you do. I mean, everything that you look at on this agenda, everything that's voted on, I've discussed. Most of the stuff that I do is general day-to-day activities of the city. So anything that comes to you guys or that is needed from me, I address.
I think it's just a matter, we don't know what questions to ask. We don't really know, like I said, using that one instance that we had a couple months ago with the, with the signage, so we don't really know to ask.
And again, I'll tell you, that was a day-to-day administration of the city as to, I mean, the sign ordinance allowed that. That was a day-to-day activity. I don't, the outcome of that wouldn't have been different.
It wouldn't have been any different.
So we have no mechanism.
That would've been a
to
good one they
evaluate.
sued us over because they would've never fought that.
We're looking at
The
the big
money
picture.
they make on that.
They were already fighting it.
I think they were
And that was on
They were
hourly
on
reports
litigation.
that you guys received that go to you where, I mean, they were already threatening to
Yes.
sue us on that.
Well, and I just use that as again, I don't wanna get into the weeds on that one. It's just, so we don't have a mechanism to evaluate the retainer on what's being done for that year to year. So, other than paying a fee for it, and getting that report.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you, Kyle. Are you insinuating that I don't
No, I'm not
do
making.
something?
No,
I'm
no,
just-
I'm not making any
It's very hard for
insinuations
me to sit here and, tell you, okay, I'm gonna go start billing you hourly, but that was not part of the agreement when we entered into a retainer. So if we need to revisit that, I mean,
Okay. Again, there was a discussion amongst council. I mean,
Well, I mean, if we went back to the straight hourly fee, then she would keep track of it and we'd get our report like we were doing before.
We'll probably pay double the money.
I don't know.
I don't know.
yeah.
I
So we
mean,
can
Trent
compare-
Favre spoke really high, against doing a retainer, but,
every law firm is different.
I'm happy with the
Retainer
services
usually-
we're receiving, and I'm good with the way it is right now. I mean, some of this stuff is on some of the bills that, especially the special bills, that's not day-to-day operations. Usually it's invoiced separate and has some details to it also that Janice,
I think the
somebody sent us
retainer is in our
somebody.
favor
Yes, I agree with that.
by far.
That's my.
well, like I said, I think all Mr. Lewis was asking for and what I was asking for is, just jot down, hey, what you did. I mean, I just don't
I mean,
understand.
that's a lot harder than, I'm not trying to fight you. I'm trying to let you understand what I do on a daily basis. I mean, if I have to go jot down everything that I'm doing, then I might as well go back to billing you. And that is very time consuming, extremely time consuming to do. And then you have the question of where does it stop and what does it do? And that's what I'm telling you, that day-to-day stuff is brought to the council, stuff that or brought to the mayor and to the administration, stuff that is outside is included or is brought to your attention. And everything on this agenda, I've worked with at every meeting. So, I mean, I could give you a report on, oh, I talked to Jeremy about, this. I talked to Michael Riso about this, but then it goes back to hourly reporting.
It's not just general, but it's also, HR, situations, also police department, when there's situations there. It's not just agendas or that type of, stuff and all. And again, you're right, if you went back to paying by the hour, you would get a detail in, but again, I think we lose in that situation.
But, and again, I've worked with retainers before in other sectors, and it's just getting a monthly synopsis, whether that be from physicians or NPs or whatever the case may be, is what the work done to evaluate, obviously, again, to understand and evaluate year to year, and also being there on the high points too. So, like I said, I'm just one voice in the council, but wanted to see where we are on that, and I think we now know that I guess we'd have to go back to two options. There's a fee schedule associated with getting that information, and go back to hourly.
Or change nothing. Third option. Any further discussion from the council?
Yeah, Josh, I think this is your last meeting for this
Good.
term.
Sound like you ready for me to get out of here.
No. You did a good job.
All right, thank you, sir. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Noblock, second, Mr. Reed. Vote to motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all. Oh, party's over. Huh? Yeah.